Arlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5, The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And we are another day closer to the Phillies beginning their push toward another World Series. Red October for the Phillies begins on Saturday. How are you watching these playoffs for the Phillies in terms of the here and the now and the future? Also, who is Jalen Hurts? It's Kincade and
He's the Eagles quarterback.
It's Kincade and Salciunas on Connor Thomas's birthday, everybody. 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Every player, every coach, Howie Roseman, in terms of a roster before the season started, everything about the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday was bad.
Watching Jalen Hurts play. Can it be corrected? Sure. Right now, this team has a quarterback problem.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, let's not bury the lead. Happy birthday. 3-0, Connor Thomas.
And we'll have our special 30 for 30 today on Connor Thomas.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys. I
That's
appreciate
coming your way in the 8 o'clock
On his
hour.
30th birthday.
Wow.
Man.
Big 3-0. You feel old yet?
I felt old for years, buddy.
Damn right you have.
I'm just wondering, when does Fat Connor set in? Like, I mean, at some point, is Connor just going to, it's 30. Your metabolism changes.
I would love to be fat.
You don't
No,
necessarily. You don't
He
necessarily.
said that's your
It's a
goal.
life goal of mine.
He said it's a life goal. Did you know that?
Yeah. I
It's
doubt
gonna
it.
be- I don't think so
he's
either.
full
It's a
of
grass is always greener type of thing.
I think you're
There you
full of
go.
it, my man. But happy birthday, Connor. Let's make it a great day today. All right. So the Phillies begin the playoffs on Saturday, and we will find out tonight who they're playing because the Mets blow a lead yesterday. The Brewers come back. They decide not to pitch Edwin Diaz in the 9th.
No, how about the 8th?
In the 8th, excuse me. Yeah, 'cause
I
when the
would've
top
gone
of
a
the- that's when the
six-pitch-
top of the order was.
I would have gone 6-pitch save with a chance to close out the series there.
Well, the only problem was he's pitched a lot recently. Sunday and Monday, he pitched a lot.
He pitched 6 on Monday.
Yeah, so maybe they wanted to try to be careful with him, and so they go with the brother of Nick Maton, and he
Wolfie.
just gets destroyed, and the Brewers come from behind and win, and so now all of a sudden it's a 1-1 series split. Winner takes all today, and then we will find out who the Phillies are playing. And what you have been saying a couple of times now this week, this is the perfect scenario for the Phillies because now they have to play the extra day, and they don't get the extra day off to reshape their bullpen. Again, Edwin Diaz did not pitch in a closeout scenario because they were probably being careful with his pitch count.
Mets up for and what's his name? The coach of the manager of Milwaukee, Irish guy name.
Oh yeah, and it's not Counsell anymore. It's
Pat Murphy. He went to his second best reliever in like the fifth inning.
Yeah.
So he did like the Rob Thompson thing from the playoffs a couple years ago.
He did.
This was a critical spot. He was like, I got to shut this down now. It was interesting.
He was matching first season. He had to.
It was interesting the way he went about it. I thought that the Mets maybe left a bullet in the chamber that they're going to regret. I know they might be worried about Diaz and they may be worried about him being tired. Last night was the night to close it out. And
if you win it yesterday,
and you may not use him tonight. You may be down 3-0 tonight.
Right. Or if you win yesterday,
right,
he's got extra time to rest his arm for the beginning of the Saturday series.
That's what's so great about October baseball. More than in any regular season game, you sit and watch every one of these games and go, why didn't he do that?
Right.
Could have done this. I would have done that. We all think we could manage a baseball game. I really do believe I could manage a game. I don't know. I couldn't manage a clubhouse for 162, understanding that mentality.
Yeah.
But manage a game, I think I could.
Well, the Brewers win it yesterday, so we find out tonight who the Phillies end up facing in round one. And you have an interesting question that you want to throw by the audience today, and I'll let you set it up.
Yes.
Because it's your words. It'll be easier for you to explain it than for me to explain it. But you kind of heard in the intro, it's how we're going to be watching this Phillies team in the playoffs for the here, now, and also the future.
Well, it's something that, like, if you were to look at what we're expecting this October, and I don't mean this question isn't, I expect them to go to the World Series or bust. It's not that. It's what are you watching for? What is a question you know about the Phillies that's going to be answered during this postseason? And mine is really, really clear. I did not agree with Dave Dombrowski, who, by the way, is a freaking great great president. He's brilliant. He's done it over and over again. The guy's a winner. I had the nerve to question his strategy of rolling it back. After I saw a team just for the last 3 games of the 2022 postseason flail at the plate, they couldn't hit anything with a boat paddle. And then they did the same exact thing again in 2023 in 2 critical games at home. I think there is a flaw with this lineup in the postseason. Now, can they correct the flaw? We'll find out this time around.
Right.
But to me, I think the number one question that's going to be answered is the referendum of, did Dave Dombrowski's decision to roll it back? We're running it back with the same guys, same approach, same kind of lineup. Huge reward, huge misses. I question it. I still question it going into the postseason. And that is going to be answered to me. Either he had the vision and he got it right, or we're going to see the same sort of flame out that we saw the last 2 years.
And look, it's an interesting way to look at it. I'll tell you, like the old line from Wall Street of Gordon Gekko, greed is good.
Love him.
Look,
Love Gordon Gekko.
Even if they win the World Series, I'll still look at a way to try to improve this roster because I'm somebody that wants to continue to win, right? I want dynasties, right? I don't want just a one-time thing and then we call it a day.
No questions asked. I mean, is it you want to see that improvement? I was shocked. I thought for sure after, by the way, last year was a monumental collapse. To lose 6 and 7 at home, not be able to hit
inexcusable
against the Diamondbacks, and then the Diamondbacks pitchers are bragging about the fact that they didn't throw your star players strikes and they still swung at them. And I thought he'd change things up. He tripled down and came back with the same lineup. We're going to find out if that strategy works coming up in the next few days.
Okay. Another thing that I can keep an eye on, and it was something that I had concerns about as the season was going on, even when things were clicking on all cylinders. I still remember a show that we did right around the All-Star break.
Okay.
Of what was sustainable in the second half of the season. And I
remember that show.
My biggest thing was the pitching staff and also like the role players that were playing out of their minds, right? Like Edmundo Sosa, you didn't miss a beat when Trey Turner was hurt. But the arms. And a guy like Ranger Suarez, you have seen, he was fantastic for the first 2 months of the season.
10-1 till June 1st.
But he reached his sort of, I'm not going to say innings limit, but he was getting to the amount of innings that he had been pitching in previous years because last year it was the slow start out of the gate because of the visa issues. Before that, he wasn't a full-time starter. He was a long reliever, sometimes spot starter. They used him everywhere that they could. I mean, you remember the 2022 playoffs. Rob Thompson had him close out a game to get them to the World Series. And I was worried how he would handle himself the second half of the season. Ended up getting hurt, the back injury, then another back injury, then the arm. Fatigue has become a problem with Ranger Suarez, and that is still a concern going into these playoffs, that one of your better arms that you were going to rely on, you have to be concerned about it. You can't say I'm not concerned about Ranger Suarez at this point.
I'm very concerned about Ranger Suarez. Extremely. I mean, but that's a great question because it's the kind of thing, too, is my question also involves moving on, how they move forward from whatever happens. I like your answer, though. Is no matter what happens, you're going to be okay with shuffling the deck and getting better.
Yeah.
And changing things up.
You should. Look, there's no secret. Juan Soto could become a free agent. And if he becomes a free agent and is willing to leave the Yankees, I'm taking him in a heartbeat.
You're doing anything you can to go ground.
Thanks for the World Series, Nick. See you later. You're moving on, or whoever has to be the casualty. Juan Soto is one of the best players in Major League Baseball. So even if they win a World Series, I'm willing to make changes to bring in a better player. I was the scoundrel after the Super Bowl that wanted to trade Nick Foles. Because his worth was never going to be higher.
Never.
But I wanted to make my team better moving forward.
If you had traded Foles, I still say if they had traded Foles, they at least get a second-round pick.
Absolutely.
At least.
But they didn't. And look, thank God they didn't because he ended up having to play for Wentz, all that kind of stuff. But that's me. I'm greedy. right? I wanted to trade for everybody during the regular season. I wanted to trade for players to have them for this playoff run. I like this roster. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to try to improve it any way that I could. I don't want to leave any stone left unturned. So even if they win, I'm thinking about the next step too. But my biggest thing is next year, depending on how this plays out, you might need to be more careful with the starting pitching. Remember, we were celebrating the 7 innings by Wheeler and Nola and Suarez. Wheeler's fine because of it. Nola's fine, but Suarez clearly took a hit by it.
If this lineup does not come through this year, if this lineup flames out again and just literally everybody goes cold at the same time, you can't come back with that same strategy. You've got to be able to chip away at people. You've got to be able to play some relentless baseball. And right now, I'm going to tell you, both teams that are playing in that Mets-Brewers series, they do play relentless baseball. They string hits together. They take a base. They do that. The Phillies have gotten a little aggressive on the base paths lately, and I like that. Connor, what are you looking at? What are you looking at, birthday boy? Your question going in. I mean, the thing that you're going to be...
Yeah, I don't really look at anything as an overarching change needs to happen because you bring up, like, if the lineup goes cold again. That was a small sample size of the postseason. It happened to be in the biggest spots the past 2 years, but...
Does that not matter to you, though? Like the fact that when the pressure's the highest, when the opponent is the best opponent you're facing, the other opponents that you beat aren't as good.
Yeah,
the pressure is on.
I don't know if it was pressure.
I don't think it's pressure because
Really?
How are you feeling pressure against the Diamondbacks at home against a team that you're better than in a spot where you should win? Like I don't think pressure was the issue last year. I think they just went cold. And I think against the Astros, they were just the better team.
They went cold, but you didn't have a guy like it was a lot of boom or bust that lineup, as is this lineup. Whereas the Padres lineup could go cold, but Luis Ariz could slap a single and get something.
Yeah, but those guys don't exist. It's not like you can just go pick one of those guys off a tree.
I know, but instead of just always having hopefully a home run, right? And like the only guy that doesn't really do that is Alec Boehm.
I don't think that's fair at all. Trey Turner doesn't do that. Bryce Harper hit near 300 this year. I mean, they've got plenty of guys that can hit for average.
I watched Alec Boehm last year against the Diamondbacks melt down publicly.
Yeah, he stunk last year.
During games. He's during the games 6 and 7, throwing his bat, taking his thing, just being super frustrated.
Instead of playing for the next one.
Kyle Schwarber doing when Schwarber's not going well and you just do you get the head shake walking off. If I saw one more head shake against the Diamondbacks, and the thing is, the head shake should be at themselves, swinging at balls.
Well, we don't know that it wasn't. What do you want them to do? The little league thing where you just grab your bat with both hands and jog off with a smile? They're going to be pissed if they go through a slump in the postseason again. Know.
We would yell if they did the McNabb. We would also freak out if they did the McNabb, the smiling.
But I understand what you guys are saying about if it doesn't work out this year, things need to change. Well, it's not so much.
I'm saying even if it does work, I still want to make my roster better.
And to me, I think I'm looking at it more as I think there is a really good chance that we're going to a parade, like a really good chance.
I hope so.
That this team's going to a parade. But the last 2 October ghosts make me wonder. Is Dave Dombrowski's strategy of rolling it back going to prove to be the fatal flaw of this team once again?
I will say, remember, they did, I think, put out flyers for Castellanos. I think that did.
They did. No, they couldn't get anybody to buy him. But I can tell you this: with 2 years left on his deal at $40 million, after the year he's put together, I do believe they would get somebody to take that contract if you wanted to go after a Soto or something in second.
Right.
But I want Castellanos to be a champion here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get that opportunity to win a championship here. I'm not doubting that they can do it, but the last 2 October ghosts are just rattling around in my head.
Here's the thing. To this point in the season, the Philadelphia Phillies have not played a postseason game yet. You could argue that there's no way they would have built a better roster with who was available in free agency or via trade or anything. Like, they were never getting Ohtani. That was never realistic.
No, it was not.
So outside of him, and Yamamoto as well, was not coming here. They made a sizable offer. But did they miss on anything? Sure, Whit Merrifield was awful when he was here. But who else was out there that you're like, wow, they should have gone and got this guy? And how much would that have added to the 95 wins they had?
I get the sobering thought to me is, and just keeps, again, haunting again. Since the All-Star break, the Phillies are the worst team remaining in the postseason. That haunts me, too. The old idea that, this team is so good they can flip a switch. We're going to see if that switch exists in their clubhouse.
Well, dude,
we're going to see if they got a switch.
We had
it
the
was
same
forever.
conversation like the last couple of years. This switch flip, and they do. They have the past 2 years. So I'm going to believe they can again.
No. The last 2 years, they played really well after the All-Star break till the end.
But the 2 years,
we were
talking about backing into the playoffs 2 years ago.
That was the last 2 weeks. They played really well in July and August.
I got you.
They did not this year. They did not. They did not. They went 4-8 down the stretch in 2022. And they did back in because Milwaukee went 4-10.
Yeah, but any team comparing like the Mets and what they've done in the second half, and they say, "Oh, well, that reminds me of what the Phillies did in 2022." You're misremembering. Like you are, or 2023. You're misremembering. This team has never been the hottest team in baseball going into the postseason, and that's why they have success.
No. It's not about just the last 2 weeks. It's about from the All-Star break is what I said.
Okay.
The Phillies were excellent after the All-Star break the last 2 years.
I get what John's saying. What John is saying is not wrong.
They're
I'm not
mediocre
saying
this year.
Look at the teams that have played in the playoffs so far. The Tigers have been one of the hottest teams in baseball.
One of the hottest.
They beat the Astros. The Orioles have been one of the more struggling teams. They lost to the Royals. The Mets,
Royals were really hot.
The Royals
to
were
make
really
the
hot.
playoffs.
Yeah, thank you. Padres really hot. They make easy work of the Braves. Like the hot teams won this series.
Okay, well, the Mets, the Brewers kind of backed their way in, and the Mets have been
Well,
red
we'll find
hot.
out. We'll find out tonight.
Brewers clinched with over 2 weeks to go.
And we'll find out tonight.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, I'm fired up. Bottom line is we're all excited. I mean, the playoffs start on Saturday for the Phillies. We find out tonight who they're going to face. So the question is, what are you watching for? What are you going to get out of these playoffs when it comes to the Phillies? Like, what's an answer? What's a question that will be answered for you that you are concerned about or you are confident about? Anything that goes that it comes to the Phillies, what will we learn during Red October that will have you thinking about the next steps moving forward? 610-632-0975. If you want to climb in on that conversation, you can text in, you can call in.
Who do you want, by the way? Just gut instinct.
I still want the Mets. Not because I go, they're going to destroy them. I fear the Brewers bullpen, and I saw that last night.
Connor, you still the same way?
Absolutely, bring me the Mets.
You want the Mets. I wanted the Padres out, as I said. I wanted I wasn't worried about the Braves in the least. Padres make quick work of them.
Dude, you should want the Padres in. Like, that team, that's exactly what the Phillies should have wanted to happen.
Wow.
Because the
Padres are so much better than the Braves, it's not even close.
The Padres-Dodgers series.
Yes, the Braves.
Whoa.
The Braves are going to get smoked by the Dodgers if they go there, and then you have a rested LA team waiting for you in the NLCS in a game in a series. You have to go to their place. Otherwise, you could get the Padres to knock out the best team in baseball, and then you could have a home NLCS if you win a DS.
I think the Padres.
And it's the same thing as 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think the Padres are the best team since the All-Star break. Clearly,
People were saying that 2 years ago too, man. Let's see. Maybe history can rewrite itself. All right, our other topic today. Who's Jalen Hurts when it comes to the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? So, we went back in time with our Phillies topic when I told you the things that we said before the All-Star break and what was sustainable. Let's go back in time before the season started, where you said that you thought he would be closer to 2022. I thought he would exceed it. Be better than 2022.
Exceed it, yes.
I thought he would be somewhere in the middle between 2022 and 2023. Connor, where were you when we had this discussion?
I don't think he can reach 2022, but I think he'd be better than last year. Probably something, I don't know.
So that's similar to what I was
Yeah, we were
thinking.
close to the same page.
So the question is, what have we gotten so far out of Jalen Hurts? And is what we have gotten so far who he is? Like, is the dream of 2022, him coming back to that, I don't want to say is it dead, but is it likely? Like, we haven't seen anything this year except for a couple of moments for you to say, that's 2022 Jalen Hurts. Just like last year, we only saw a couple of moments, and some of them were amazing, right? The Bills game, the Chiefs game in the second half, Miami for the most part. There were some games where you saw glimpses of 2022. But for the most part, he never came close to reaching that mark. Is there a chance that we saw the best of Jalen Hurts, and this is kind of who he is? Which might not be the worst thing, but for everybody that wants to defend the hell out of the guy, it might not be the best thing either. Who is Jalen Hurts, John?
He's going to have to show me. He's got to be the guy that I think he is. And I worry that I'm just intoxicated by a night in February on the biggest stage where I saw him do it.
But that's a fair night to be intoxicated by.
Oh, it is. It is.
Like it wasn't a week 1 performance against the Chiefs. It was the Super Bowl.
But I've seen him regress so much in his decision making. And I see so many people wanting to blame that on a coach. Want to blame that on a play caller. And to me, Jalen Hurts making stupid decisions with the football is on Jalen Hurts.
So you sent us some numbers yesterday, which made me think about this topic. Because there are a lot of people that are defending Jalen Hurts and making excuses for him, but there is a legitimate chance that your case could be killed in this next segment. To what John just said, the people that are blaming coordinators, coaches, and not having A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that case could be closed next. We tell you why, but think about it. Who is Jalen Hurts, the quarterback? 610-632-0975. Have we seen the better days? Are they behind us? But can they still win with who he is? That's another question. It's going to be a Jalen Hurts show, and the Phillies, what question of yours will be answered throughout Red October? It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another day to wait for the Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Bet Park.
Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic. Check the text line and the phone lines coming up later on this hour. Our two questions today. When it comes to the Phillies, what questions do you have on the Phillies that you believe will be answered during this postseason run? Now, I'm going to imagine the majority of questions will be more so concerns.
Is that fair?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
Connor, you think it's fair or not?
Nah.
For a 95-win team, I think a concern is fine. If the overwhelming thing is concerns, I think that's off base.
I think
I
it
just
is.
don't know what more they could have done, right? Like, what more could they have shown you in the regular season? They have the second best record in Major League Baseball. They have the sixth highest win total in franchise history. They're stacked in every position that you want to be stacked in. Like, whether they've been playing well recently or not, even if you're hot, we were going to have the same concerns we had last year. They could have rolled off the last 15 games wins, and we still would have said, well, what if what happens against Arizona happens? They've done everything they can do.
Right. And look, I understand the concerns or questions that you have addressed in terms of running it back.
Sure.
I do, because you go, all right, well, what if you brought in a more consistent hitter or a better outfielder? Look, I didn't want the Rojas Marsh Rojas Hayes. Like, I don't necessarily love that about the outfields.
I just look at the teams that are remaining. Dodgers, Padres, Milwaukee, and the Mets. All of them can string together 4 or 5 hit innings. Can put together the Phillies.
So can the Phillies.
The Phillies rarely do that. Rarely do the Phillies manufacture runs. They all can manufacture runs.
Okay.
The Phillies rarely manufacture runs. They started at the end of the year.
Yes, they did.
In that Mets series at home, they bunted twice in the 8th inning to help win a game. I hope that was just part of let's get warmed up for it. But I mean, still, this has been an amazing team. To win 95 is wild. I think a lot of that, though, was...
Well, I will say this. I do think they have the players to string together hits. It's just... Like, Bryson Stott did not have a great season.
I think this is being overcritical because I just pulled it up. Now, the Padres lead Major League Baseball in hits this year. But do you know where the Phillies are?
They're probably in the top 10.
They're tied for 4th with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
They can string together hits.
They can string together hits.
I think it's a lot of... I saw last night one of the things on MLB Network's coverage. The Phillies have the most lopsided losses in the past 2 months in Major League Baseball or something like that.
Well, Taijuan Walker's been pitching. Taijuan Walker's been pitching
other
during that span.
Other than the I think it was the White Sox and one other team have as many lopsided losses.
Taijuan Walker's not even the ace on the White Sox. No, seriously. I mean, that's a big. And then when they didn't start him, it was who had opportunities over Taijuan Walker. Who were some of the
Spencer Turnbull early?
No, not. I'm saying since the injury, they called up a couple of kids. Who were some of the? I already forget their names.
Tyler
Phillips. There was the other guy that they made the trade for, and then all of a sudden he comes here and he gives up 8 runs in an inning.
Tyler Phillips, Colby Allard. I mean, is
Stevenson maybe? No,
I'm thinking of Cal Stevenson.
I don't even know.
No, I mean there were a lot of lopsided losses, but they also had a 5th starter problem. And that was the majority of their lopsided. They weren't having lopsided losses with Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez on the mound.
No, rarely.
So, the 5th star is not pitching in the postseason. So I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. I just do wonder if the majority of these questions would be more concerns for a lot of people. And you know how we have been interacting with a lot of Phillies fans since opening day. There's been people that even when they were red hot were pointing out concerns.
Well, when you go deep into the postseason, you go to the World Series and you lose. You go to the NLCS and you lose. When you've had 2 postseason runs, you're in the Final Four. I think there is something about a 162-game mountain that is almost anticlimactic. You don't enjoy it as much. If this 95-win season was the first time this Phillies team was going to the postseason, this city would be bouncing off the walls going nuts. Because it follows up 2 years where you thought you were going to taste the champagne and you didn't. I think that's part of it.
And that's the wrong mindset.
It might be. Well, for someone else, I can see it. Do you think it's the wrong mindset when Sixer fans have it?
No, but it's definitively the wrong mindset with the Phillies. And I'll tell you why. Because part of Major League Baseball postseason, it feels so different from 162 because it is. It's such a short sample size. It's such a everything is just pressured down to the smallest little differences. And what we don't talk about with the way the Phillies have lost the past 2 years is that they've learned their issues. There are teams that are in the postseason for the first time, or players that are in the postseason for the first time, that are learning on the fly how pressure affects them.
Have they addressed them?
Well, they may have internally. They've had a better regular season each of the past 2 years. So if you look at the win total, you could argue that they've progressed.
They went 87, they went 90, they went 95.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
But they're a team that now know what their weaknesses are. We know what the story of October will be if they don't win, and the Phillies know that too, and maybe that helps them guard against that.
Maybe. All right, so what question of yours will be answered during Red October? Text in, call in 610-632-0975. Our other question today, our other topic, who is Jalen Hurts when it comes to the quarterback position?
You mean the guy who was given one of the top 5 offensive lines in football, one of the best receiving corps in football, one of the best running back handful of running backs in football?
Yes.
He was a blessed man. He's a freaking blessed man is what he is. He is absolutely it was like he walked into FAO Schwartz and his mom and dad said, "You got $500 to spend."
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Are you kidding me? He is blessed. No quarterback in football has more than he has.
No.
None. Not even close.
And look, he has
not last
been,
Sunday, by the way.
Of course not last Sunday. And he has not been playing well this year. But there is a case that a lot of people are making that it's the coach's fault, and because of last week, it's the injury's fault. So you sent us a tweet yesterday from Kendall Beck.
Yes.
Who does a lot of Eagle stuff on Twitter.
And some good quality stuff.
So he found a graph that somebody, I don't know who put it out, but it was some sort of NFL-related account. The 2024 quarterback accuracy and average separation chart.
And this is something all summer long I told you about. In Kellen Moore's 5 years, by this metrics, in his 5 years of calling plays, no offensive coordinator does a better job of scheming receivers into space.
Correct.
Kellen Moore is a master class at it. And I was shocked when I saw these numbers.
So this tweet from Kendall will close the case for a lot of the Jalen Hurts defenders that have made the excuses through 4 weeks this season. And let me make this clear. We're not doing this to bash Jalen Hurts. It's just for the blind loyalists to realize he needs to play better. And if he does not play better, there's no excuses. If he does not play better, the season's over. And I feel bad. We just had a caller hang up who was going to say that Jalen Hurts was set up for failure. And of course he freaking hung up.
Set up for failure? What are you talking about?
He hung up. I was going to get to him anyways.
Set up for failure.
I hope Mike in South Philly, if you're listening, call back.
Can you imagine Josh Allen with everything that he's got? Patrick Mahomes with everything that Jalen Hurts has got. Offensive line, Jalen Hurts has better. Wide receivers, Jalen Hurts has better. Running back, Jalen Hurts has better. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. What would they do with all these things? Who's saying he's set up for failure?
So here's the tweet from Kendall Beck. Through 4 weeks,
come on,
the Eagles receivers have averaged the second most amount of separation all season. That does not just mean A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. That also means Dallas Goedert. That means Jahan Dotson. That means Paris Campbell and Johnny Wilson and Britton Covey.
The best. He is second best, even with the injury. He's had A.J. 1 game.
Yeah.
He's had Devontae 2 3/4 games. And he is second best. Can you imagine? He'll be best when he's got them all healthy.
Jalen Hurts has been the 25th most accurate quarterback this season.
And his receivers that's just telling you, his receivers are schemed wide open, is what it's telling you. He is given the most separation. They are the most open receivers. Only one team better.
Second most, John. Come
on. Only one team
respectful.
Better. And that's with the spare parts. It's unreal.
So, who is Jalen Hurts? Is he a quarterback that you can still win a Super Bowl with? I believe that he is. But is he this 2022 perennial MVP candidate year in, year out? I don't think so. And I said that following 2022, so I'm not just saying it through 4 weeks this season. He has not played to my level of standards this year, though. I thought he would be better than last year. Connor thought that he would be better than last year. You thought that he would be better than 2022.
No, I thought this will be, and you know what? I'll say it bold this morning. If you tell me that everyone's going to be healthy the rest of the year, pretty much, the offense, he's going to get there.
Okay. Now, I'm curious. Mike did call back. I appreciate him calling back. Thank you, Michael, for calling back. It was right when I was about to go to you. You hung
Thanks,
up.
Mike.
No, sorry, guys. I got disconnected.
You're good.
Okay, cool. So here's the thing. And I agree with everything that you're saying as far as he has more than enough weapons. I feel like when I watch them every week, the Eagles coaching staff, the last game they watch of Jalen Hurts is the Super Bowl. You have to go back to Jalen Hurts. There's a reason why Tua beat him out at Alabama. There's a reason why he was a second-round pick. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, but he makes these own mistakes, throwing the ball away, and I don't feel like the coaches feel like he is still a Josh Allen. They coach him like he is better than he actually is, and I understand he has the weapons. Going into last week, knowing that you're missing those two top receivers, knowing that you're missing a lane.
Oh yeah, I thought the game plan was horrible. That's all Kellen Moore.
It sucked, Mike, and we called that out all early in the week.
Yeah, they're setting him up for failure. Now, don't get me wrong. He needs to stop holding the ball in the pocket. That drives me up a wall. Throwing the ball across his body. Throwing these dumb interceptions. But I feel he is not that guy that you. And I'm telling you, the worst thing that could have happened to him was his 2022 season, the way he played in the Super Bowl, being ranked as number 3 in the top 100 players in the league, getting the contract. Not saying he don't deserve it, and he's just not that guy, and that's okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, Mike. Now we get you.
This is a fair call. Thanks for the call, Mike. Okay.
Okay, I think the
Don't
summary
judge
of what
a
he
book
was
by
saying.
its cover.
Correct. The text of the book was different than the headline.
Yeah, that was a page click. You got me.
I think Brendan Gunn screwed us on that one.
No, but it's an interesting point. Let's expand on that coming up next.
Yes.
Good
job, Mike.
Overplay his hand in 2022, and that almost led to coaching him differently. Let's discuss that coming up next. If you have any answers on our topics today, feel free to call in or text in 610-632-0975. We check the text line next as well. It's Kincade Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
Right now, the Eagles.
Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic on this Thursday morning, 2 days away from Game 1 NLDS. Phillies versus the winner of tonight's Brewers-Mets matchup. The Brewers tied the series last night, coming from behind and winning. So we find out tonight who the Phillies will play on Saturday. What questions of yours that you have of the Phillies will be answered during Red October?
Do you think most will be negative in nature or positive in nature?
I think more questions will be more negative, more concerns.
Does that mean people are more anxious in your mind?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's what
I do.
it is.
I think
there's a lot of people anxious.
And you asked, is that fair or unfair? I do believe it is unfair. But like I get it.
I'll give a positive
I get
one.
where we are by nature, but go ahead. What do we got?
Is Christopher Sanchez like a really, really, really good pitcher?
I love that answer.
Yeah, well, we'll get that answer.
I love that answer, and it looks like from Rob Thompson yesterday, it looks like he will start Game 2.
Well, yeah, we're going to discuss that
It
because
looks like it.
he kind of left it up in the air, but it seems like
there were three answers that point to him pitching in Game 2.
Well, I heard this conversation on the Mike Missanelli show yesterday. I found it pretty interesting. If you take this Game 1 decide Game 2 start.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not to me.
Now here's what. So let's expand on this. Mike said if you win Game 1,
Okay.
he would pitch Nola so that you're up 2-0.
Well, wait a minute.
And now you just need to win.
Why is he assuming Nola? Is it going to be which?
It gives you his belief
Okay.
is your best chance to go up 2-0
Why would Nola be your best chance to go up 2-0 when Christopher Sanchez
because it's
is the best home pitcher in baseball? No pitcher in their home field is better than Christopher Sanchez.
In the regular season.
whereas
Well, I mean,
Aaron Nola's been doing it in the playoffs for
yeah, but he's
for
also
2
been
years.
flaming out in the playoffs too. I mean, you can play it both
He
ways.
has
Which
had more.
Nola are you going to
He
get?
has had more playoff success than Christopher Sanchez.
He
It's
has.
not even a
Playoff success. Christopher Sanchez has one career playoff inning.
He has exactly.
Yeah.
So you're just saying that you got to base it on that. A guy
I think you should.
you played 162, playing in this stadium. Player A is the best pitcher in all of baseball, and you're going to say, yeah, but he's never done in the playoffs. He doesn't deserve the
Johnny
opportunity.
Clayton Kershaw played 162 for about a decade and had no postseason success. It's a different beast for some
it
guys.
is.
I got to tell you, there's plenty of great moments for Nola, great moments, and there's plenty of bad ones in the postseason.
He's
too.
not a sure thing.
I mean, I think it's more like if you win Game 1, it's more. I would feel more comfortable letting him have Game 2.
I'm the same way.
Then you count on Nolan 3.
Okay.
On
Yeah.
the road.
I think Mike has it backwards, but I do think it does depend on Game 1.
It depends on Game 1.
If you lose Game 1, I'm throwing Nola because I don't want like that momentum and the pressure to kind of scare Sanchez at all. I don't want him in a tougher spot. If you win Game 1, throw the kid. And they'll go get Game 3 with Nola because I think Sanchez can be good. But
I'd feel better if it's 1-1 with Nola on the mound at Citi Field
yes.
than I would with 1-1.
Christopher Sanchez.
Sanchez on the
yeah,
mound.
that's
Because he
fair.
hasn't been good on the road. So Christopher Sanchez, he hasn't been terrible on the road. He had two horrendous starts and one that really skewed the stats.
But let me ask you this. Would you feel good 0-2 with Aaron Nola on the road?
Well, at that point, you're
guess
just,
what?
You're hoping
if they're
for anything.
If they're 0-2, then
the series is over.
yeah,
Yeah,
most
so-
likely.
and they're not going to be down on 2.
I don't
No,
believe
they're
it will either.
All right, so we had the caller, our man Mike from South Philly, last segment saying Jalen Hurts was set up to fail because he played so well in 2022 that they've gone away from what they should be doing coaching him. Now, I've told you guys this numerous times. I've made the point that in 2021, when everyone goes, oh, Jalen Hurts carried that team. He didn't. They took the ball out of his hands. They ran the football. He ran the ball effectively, and they simplified the offense when it came to the passing game. And, yes, they turned the season around to get to the playoffs. Then he played out of his mind in 2022. Did Mike have a point? Mike from South Philly, that he played well that they went away from what Jalen Hurts is actually good at.
I think he had a little bit of a point, but you can't have a $250 million quarterback give him all the advantages, where he has more advantages. There is not a starting quarterback in the NFL that would not trade their offensive roster for his. Not one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not one. And you're going to say, oh, no, there's no way Patrick Mahomes would, he's so tight with Travis Kelce. I'm not talking about personal relationships.
No.
I'm talking about, look at the roster.
Players, yeah.
Where would they succeed? And so, to me, this is a you can't fail, Jalen. Not a you can't fail, Jalen. It's a you can't fail. It is an order. You can't fail with this group.
Who is Jalen Hurts, the quarterback? 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line, Connor?
Yeah, we have people that are being rather critical of the quarterback, and understandably so. But Jay from Westchester is on the positive side. He says, again.
Of course he is. That's his
Jay?
guy.
Well, he says, I'm no Jalen Hurts defender.
He is a Jalen Hurts defender, though.
Unless this is, we have two Jays.
Okay.
So
Jay from Westchester.
Oh, there's Westchester. Not West Philly.
He
I'm
says,
sorry.
again, I am no Jalen Hurts defender. But these stats are insane. The way you can counter-argue John's point before he even makes it, and he sends a picture of Jalen Hurts' stats up against Patrick Mahomes this year.
Stop that.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Can I read the stats for the people listening at home?
They have the same amount of interceptions. They have the same amount of yards. They have the same amount of this. They have the same amount of that.
Hurts has 26 more yards, the same completion percentage, the same amount of touchdowns, 2 less interceptions, and the quarterback rating is 4 points lower.
And I know for a fact that one guy's going to turn around the season. I don't know if the other guy will.
And when the game is on the line, what does one quarterback do, and what does the other quarterback do?
They were losing to the Chargers 10-0. They came back and won.
I'm so
Jalen
tired
Hurts is losing to the Bucs. He turns the ball over. It's not. Like, I hate these numbers. I'm sorry to attack Jay.
Take Mahomes. No, you know the number that matters, Jay? 4-0. 4-0. When Patrick Mahomes has to make a play to lead his team, he makes it.
All right. So coming up next, there are people that are probably like, "Come on, Jay, let's go!" Tim McManus joined the best show ever yesterday, and he talked about some of the big differences from training camp through the first 4 weeks of the season, and some of it's on coaching. So for those of you who do believe it's coach's fault, even though we just gave you eye-popping numbers about open receivers and the Eagles have the second best separation rate, let's see what Tim McManus has to say about that coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils get a break. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Light.
Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic, on Connor Thomas's 30th birthday. So shout out to our man John Kincade, who bought breakfast this morning.
Thanks, Johnny.
Oh, please.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. I can't wait for my Chick-fil-A breakfast burrito.
He's going to try it this morning.
My Chick-fil-A breakfast burrito that I'll be eating at 7:21 on this Thursday morning.
So you have an exact time on it?
Yeah, 7:21. Do I have a read at 7:21, Connor?
I haven't looked. No, you don't.
All right, 7:21 on this Thursday morning, a Chick-fil-A breakfast burrito. I can't wait to try it.
Young man at our the Malvern location yesterday, he says, I said, yeah, I'm using my app. And he says, I used to have a black card.
Yeah.
He goes, what's a black card? I said, I would get a free Chick-fil-A meal any day.
That's awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
That's problematic. But
oh, my God. That is, problematic is true.
Yeah. All right, real quick before we get to this Tim McManus audio, and I do want to get to some callers and some texts. Our topics today, by the way, what questions that you have of the Phillies will be answered during Red October, and then who is Jalen Hurts? As a quarterback, who is he? We have seen almost the highest of highs. Playing better than Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. We've also seen some pretty damn lows. Who is Jalen Hurts? Is he somewhere in the middle? Is he more of the Super Bowl guy? Is he more of the lows guy? I don't necessarily know. You guys have known where
I've been. That's not Lowe's Home Depot.
Not Lowe's Home Depot. Not Lowe's the Home for pros.
Because we go to both establishments.
Damn right. That's a way to walk the company line there. Yeah. I never thought he'd be back to 2022 form, but I still think he's a good quarterback. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback. He's not playing like one so far this year. So who's Jalen Hurts? You can answer those two questions on the phone line, text line, 610-632-0975. But real quick, man, Braves fans, your old
stomping
neighbors.
grounds? Yeah.
Obviously, their season's over, so they're probably miserable. But there is a video that has gotten the Braves fans fired up this morning.
What is it?
And last night, because I saw a tweet.
Okay, what happened?
Did you see what happened after Manny Machado hits a double that makes it 3-1?
Oh, I did. I saw the hug of Arcia.
Orlando Arcia, who we know very well in the city because of the Attaboy Harper thing.
He's their Garrett Stubbs. Runs his mouth, doesn't lead the team.
He goes up to Machado and hugs him
at second base.
After he gives the Padres a 3-1 lead in an elimination game. So it's not like he hasn't seen him in a month. He saw him 2 days ago for game one of this series. Machado hits a double, 3-1, and he goes up and hugs him? What?
I think that Arcia was on thin ice with that fan base over last year, and then he really showed up against the Phillies this year. So he sort of was getting some goodwill because he played well against the Phils. This may be his exit out of town.
The tweet that had the video go out, he said, "I'm sorry, get RC off this team now. This is unacceptable in the middle of a game after what just happened."
Who is that?
Now, just some
okay.
E. Goldie.
Oh, okay.
Now, you see this stuff all the time in baseball,
no.
right? Like the smack on the...
Yeah, no, this was a hug.
No, but in a regular season game,
correct.
In a playoff game, when you are... it's a best of 3 series. You're down 1-0, and Machado hits a double to make it 3-1, and you're hugging Machado.
I got to tell you, now I'm very old school, and maybe it's the snow on the roof compared to you dudes. But I can tell you when I go down to batting practice, and I'll stand and watch batting practice, and I watch players playing grab ass and hugging and all that, and all the. It just rubs me the wrong way because I used to have to do that job. And back when I started my career on the station down the dial, going and getting sound and things like that from batting practice and bringing it back. This is a modern day phenomenon.
Oh, yeah, there's not much hatred in sports anymore.
The fraternization has become huge. Last 20 years, it's become huge.
I mean, Darius Slay was literally on a podcast with Micah Parsons. Yeah, like it's normal. But
I don't
see that in a playoff
I personally
game,
don't
man.
dig it myself on a game day. I don't think
Mr. Athlete's going to stick up for RC.
I don't.
No, I'm not. It
no, he won't. He wouldn't stick up for that.
Because if you're a pitcher.
It doesn't.
You're the great pitcher that you are, the collegiate athlete that you are. If you saw your shortstop hugging the guy that just tattooed a double off you to make it 3-1 in elimination game.
Yeah, like kick rocks. Also, pitchers don't talk to anybody because you're hanging out in the middle of the field alone the whole time. So I never understood the whole talking to people when they get to first base thing. Before a game, it doesn't bother me. People are so connected because of social media and everything now. It's so much easier for players to connect to each other, even if you haven't played together. But as soon as a game starts, whether it's a regular season game, whether it's a postseason game, whether it's a damn World Series game, you are opponents. And there are weird one-offs, like when Reese comes back and plays the Phillies and he gets the first base and Bryce wants to say what's up.
Or when Real Muto taps him on the helmet when he walks up.
Bryce, I'll tell you this.
Box.
Bryce, you just mentioned Reese Hoskins. Bryce, Freddie Freeman, and Reese Hoskins are all still playing. They are three of the most talkative first basemen I've ever seen.
Yeah, right.
That's just they carry on conversations with opposing players. I don't dig it. Like I don't dig that.
I don't
during
care.
a game.
I don't care.
Now listen.
But
saying hello,
hugging is
like that's way too
this
far.
is a whole nother level.
That dude just broke a game open in the second inning against you guys.
I can tell you the fact that Ronald Acuna Jr. last year had to tell Arcia to shut up.
Yeah.
In a game. Rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
By the way, that dude, he's under contract for $2 million this coming year. He has a club option in 2026, does Orlando Arcia.
Yeah, but you can move that $2 million.
Yeah,
you can.
And you know what? There'd be a lot of teams that would take Orlando Arcia.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I
Not us.
would want no parts of someone with his attitude.
Yep.
None
All
at
right,
all.
I'm going to play some Tim McManus audio for you in a few minutes because Tim McManus does wonder if part of it is coaching for Jalen Hurts' struggles so far this season. But let's go to Jeff in Camden. What's up, Jeff? How you doing? Hello? Jeffrey.
Jeff must
All
have
right,
fallen asleep.
we'll put Jeff on hold. He may have us on mute. Here's Tim McManus. So he was on with the best show ever yesterday. And, the question is, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? What's wrong with this team? And here's Tim McManus talking about what reflects on the coaching staff.
There's other things that we can point to that speak directly to coaching throughout the course of the first 4 games. One of them is the fact that they have yet to score a point in the first quarter. 4 games, 0 points. Like that, to me, comes down to coaching. Penalties. They rank 20th in the NFL in penalties. That is at least in part a reflection on coaching. So there are a number of things. The fact that they haven't won the turnover battle yet. They are second in the NFL in giveaways. Also a reflection on coaching. And so there are a lot of things that we can dive into that are hurting this team and holding them back, where they only have 2 wins through 4 games. But coaching is right atop the list.
So when he mentions the no points in the first quarter, I do go Kellen Moore before I go Jalen Hurts.
I go Kellen Moore before Jalen Hurts.
This
Sunday was ridiculous.
The first 15 plays where you have a whole week to prepare for, and I gave you the numbers. The opening drives for the Eagles through 4 weeks have totaled week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, plus, have totaled 7 yards.
That to me is so outrageous. That's outrageous.
There's teams where the first play from the line of scrimmage in the game is more than 7 yards.
That's incredible.
They have totaled 7 yards in their first 4 weeks of opening drives.
Now, some of that is on, Sunday was on Kellen Moore. Opening week against Green Bay was Saquon slips for a 5-yard loss on first down.
Right, it's not.
So then you're staring second and 15 doesn't get you anywhere, and then the interception on third down.
Right.
So that's more on Hurts and Saquon in that one. But still, though, it's pathetic. And the first quarter scoring means to tell me, and I've always been told this, that if the way games are scripted out in advance and planned, if you see first quarter scoring, that tells you how your offense coordinator is doing against the defense coordinators. Kellen Moore is not off to a good start. And I'm a big believer in Kellen Moore.
Yes, you are.
But
and if you reverse it, the Buccaneers go boom, boom, boom downfield because they saw something on how to beat Vic Fangio, and they wanted to protect Baker Mayfield because he got sacked 7 times the week before. I said this to you guys a couple of times. What the Bucs did was what I wanted the Eagles to do because you didn't have your best weapons, so get the ball out quick. So, to Tim McManus' point, it's not all on Jalen Hurts. It's also on coaching. Here he is talking about how the offense has changed from training camp through the first 4 weeks of the regular season.
During the summer, he only threw 1 interception. Now, it was only training camp, I get it. But what he was doing was getting the ball out of his hands really fast. He was playing, as the term that he used was point guard. And so he dropped back, quick 3-step, 5-step drop, pop right out to A.J. Brown on a slant, Devontae Smith on a crosser. It's gone, and the ball is in the playmaker's hands. And now when you look at this one particular stat, through 4 weeks, Hurts ranks 32nd in time before the throw on average at 3.1 seconds. So he's second to last in the NFL right now in getting the ball out of his hands. So, like, what happened here? You know, how did they go from this highly efficient-looking offense under Kellen Moore, where the ball is popping out, to the fact that Hurts is holding on to the ball too long?
So is that training camp? Let's not get too excited about red shirt, one interception, because I tried to warn people about that, and there's a guy that tracks all that for no reason whatsoever, but people click on stuff, so go for it. Or is it that he's just not comfortable facing real pressure? Because, again, in training camp, they can't touch you.
The thing is, he's been great against the blitz.
Exactly.
So that means the pressure, that tells me the pressure doesn't bother him. That tells me the pressure doesn't bother
But when you hear that he has the second slowest release,
well,
now that means the offensive line's doing their job. But
he has the most time to throw in the NFL.
Right.
By the way, still through 4 weeks, even after that disaster last week.
Yeah.
So the offensive line's doing its job. To me, it means his decision-making is the problem right now. Can it be fixed? Absolutely.
Especially with more comfort in the system.
I absolutely believe
more
he can
comfort
do
in
it.
the scheme.
Yes.
And that's why people did preach patience offensively.
But the thing is, when you are getting the damning number that we started the show with today, when you see that Kellen Moore, again, is living up to his reputation, he schemes guys open.
Second highest separation rate in the NFL through the first 4 weeks, and Hurts is 25th in accuracy.
And in his 5 years as an offensive coordinator, he leads the NFL in that statistic.
Right.
Kellen Moore, that's something that's his fastball. That's his fastball. I'm going to get somebody wide open that you get. Now, sometimes it's a dump off.
Right.
So that can be like a stat that maybe I've had people say to me,
there's
don't
a guy
get
in the
too excited.
flat that's just
it's
wide
a guy
open,
in the flat
yeah.
that he schemes wide open, but he's only 3 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Come on, John. It's not that big a deal. But to give a guy, when you've got playmakers and you got guys who can run, who can trot afterwards, I think it's something.
Well, is Jalen Hurts trying to win the Super Bowl every week?
He might be. And that was in that story from McManus and Fowler. When they lost the Super Bowl, it felt like every single week it was, damn, we lost the Super Bowl. We need to try to get back. And he played as such, and that's when the hero ball stuff started coming up. That may be still happening, where he thinks he needs to show that he's worth the contract.
Exactly.
Prove the doubters wrong. Remember, he had the sweatshirt, right? Whatever.
Haters are going to hate or something.
Something about doubters. I don't know.
God bless whoever hating on me.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, right?
I want that sweatshirt still.
I think he always is trying to prove people wrong, prove himself right, and get back. It's like the, a guy's trying to hit a grand slam with nobody on base.
Exactly, because when he takes what's in front of him, he throws accurately.
He does.
He makes proper decisions. He puts up yards. He puts his team in position to win. I think the biggest thing for him is not that he can't read a defense or that he can't operate in this scheme. It's that when he gets the opportunity for a big play, he will always take it. And he will always hunt the big play.
And that's why I said to you guys 2 weeks ago, I want them to not dumb down the offense, just take away the opportunity for him to try to do. I know you can. I know it's easier said than done.
I hate the RPO, by the way. But I will tell you that the fact that Kellen Moore is through 4 games and some of the spare parts he's been working, 1 game with A.J. Brown and 2 3/4 games with Devontae Smith tells me that, and he has the second most wide open receivers for Jalen Hurts, that tells me that he is simplifying the offense. Because that should be simple throws.
But Hurts is looking for the big plays.
Exactly.
Playing hero ball.
That should be the simple throws. So Kellen Moore is getting shrapnel because of the fact that Jalen Hurts is inaccurate and unwilling to take.
Look, I still believe Kellen Moore deserves some blame.
No, I do too. I said that. I thought it was a trash game plan on Sunday coming out of the gate, and I think it killed them, and I think it killed the defense.
Until they went up-tempo, I mean, that offense was doing nothing.
You throw the ball 9 of your first 11 plays or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And then say in the press conference, we got to get Saquon the ball early.
I mean, come on, dude.
All right, we got Jeff and Camden back, and then we'll check the text line. What's up, Jeff?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you know what, man? Look, you know what you have in Jalen Hurts. You know what you have in Jalen Hurts. It's not you know that this guy has the ability to learn. You saw him miss Dallas Goedert in that New Orleans game. You saw him come back and go back to Dallas Goedert. You see that this guy has the ability to learn. This is not Donovan McNabb being stubborn. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to do this. This is a guy who's willing to get out there and get it done. And you saw it, and you see it. You see an ever-evolving quarterback. You see discombobulation with this offense, but you see this fact. You're locked in with, forget this, is Jalen Hurts the guy. You are locked in with this quarterback. You're absolutely 100%.
Oh, yeah, he's not going, going anywhere.
By the way, none of us have asked if Jalen Hurts
Jeff, we had a caller earlier this week.
We don't believe
We had a caller earlier this week that wanted to start Kenny Pickett. We thought that was one of the dumbest things that could have been said.
I think Jalen will look back. Man, I'm going to be dumb if this comes out. I think he's going to look back at times in November and say, what the hell happened in September?
Right.
Because I do believe he's going to come around.
No, this is a guy that's going to rip his arm off and beat you with it if he has to. I mean, he missed Dallas Goedert. He found him in that New Orleans game. He is going to keep seeking. That's what you have a quarterback. Stop this is Jalen Hurts the guy. You know that you're in for a long haul. You know that.
Well, the question isn't whether or not he's the guy. The question is, who is he? Like, is he? We saw him outperform Patrick Mahomes in the biggest moment of his life, but then we've also seen him have horrible games, and the horrible games have happened more recently than that great game that happened in 2022.
Right. So you will, all evidence, it points to this guy evolving and correcting himself continuously. It's long.
Well, I don't know if that's true, Jeff. And thanks for the call, man. Like, all evidence shows that he improves. All evidence has shown that he's regressed.
He's regressed.
That's the evidence. The evidence is he has gotten progressively worse.
Now the thing is there comes a time where you got to stop blaming coaches.
Right, when we give you those numbers,
you got to stop blaming the coach. The coach is doing his job. There are wide open throws. The Eagles have wide open receivers all the time. 30 teams have less than the Eagles do. So Kellen Moore's doing his job in that regard. Now, the idea of throwing the ball when you should be running it is a whole nother issue.
All right, what do we got on the text line there, Connor?
So we have a lot of people with this Phillies conversation as well.
Okay.
Going on the questions that they need answered for the postseason. And Joe says, a question I need answered is, can they play small ball against top pitchers in cooler weather? Also, the Padres will play their World Series against their older brother in L.A. That series could be big for the Phils, depending on how they handle the NLDS.
You just got to hope it goes long.
Yeah, right?
You just got to hope it goes long.
They did 4 games in 2022. The Phillies went 4 with the Braves. They went 4 with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So you do. You want to hope that we're hoping for a 5-game series there.
Yeah,
and we're hoping they burn everything. And by the way, we're hoping for a 12-inning game tonight.
Right.
And
the Mets and Brewers.
Stop at 12.
And that whoever wins gets drunk.
Yes, gets really drunk.
Gets terribly drunk before they get on the plane
Send
to fly
Stubbs
here.
in as a spy. Just let him keep drinking.
Send in DJ AAA and see what happens.
All right, coming up next, the Phils are trying to stay fresh during this bye. They had the inter-squad game yesterday, man. There's notes from it, and we started talking about it a little bit. Rob Thompson tells you he still hasn't necessarily made a decision about Game 2. We'll discuss that as well. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports.
It is 7:29 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, on this Thursday morning. Our two topics today, when it comes to the Phillies, what questions of yours will be answered during this Red October? And then who is Jalen Hurts as the quarterback? Who is he? We've seen him play the best game of his life on the biggest stage. We've also seen him struggling ever since.
Is it it really is the greatest game of his life.
I would think so. I don't know what he used to do at Oklahoma and Alabama statistically.
I did.
Yeah,
I
but it wasn't the Super Bowl.
And the one thing that I would always tell people about that, because people have said, well, he did it at Oklahoma, he did it at Alabama. Oklahoma and Alabama have any year have top 6 to 8, no worse than 8 as far as talented roster.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So 10 weeks out of 12 in the regular season, they're trouncing teams that they out-talent them at every position.
Right.
That tells me very little.
Now,
honestly.
Bill Brown checks in, and dude,
Like you, Bill.
I was going to say this last segment to our caller Jeff, if he brought up the Mahomes thing, and I didn't. Out of respect.
So
I'll let Bill do the talking here, boys. If he just has the 2022 season and they lose in the NFC Championship, are we at this discussion today? Is this strictly because of outplaying Mahomes? Otherwise, it comes down to body of work. Nick Foles outplayed Brady once on the greatest stage. And that was the end of his tweet.
I don't. It's too simplistic an argument to me that he's making. I get it. But Jalen Hurts is much more accomplished as a starting quarterback than Nick Foles is.
And the other thing,
so I can't do that one.
Like, Nick Foles is an ass. Like, I think some people look at it sometimes and they're like, this guy stinks and he beat Brady. Like, he had a whole season where he went.
Before somebody chimes in, you said isn't ass.
Isn't.
Yeah,
I believe your cold kept you from saying isn't, because it kind of sounded like you said Nick Foles is an ass.
No, is not.
He's actually a very nice person.
He's a great person.
He's a wonderful dude.
And he's also not a bad quarterback, is my point.
Yeah.
Like, he was a guy that had a solid career before he came back to the Eagles for that run.
27-2, baby.
I mean, I don't know.
7 tutties against the
I think
Raiders.
he was there, and you know what the entire league said? He's available.
Yeah, but some people
And the entire league looked at it and went, nah, we're good.
Some people treat him like he's Will Levis.
Well, that's different. You're right. He's not Will Levis. He doesn't put mayonnaise in his coffee.
He was an accomplished NFL quarterback. So if you're good, sometimes you can have a great game. But the Super Bowl is still the ultimate determination of, like, can you perform on the biggest stage? And Hurts did that.
And Hurts did that.
Because here's what I would tell you, though, and just when you comparison of Hurts to Foles. Hurts was great in the NFC title game. He was terrible in the Falcons game.
Foles.
Foles.
Yes.
Foles was terrible in that Falcons game. They were lucky to win that game.
Yeah, they were.
He was fantastic against the Vikings.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't even close.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And then that momentum, sort of carried over into the Super Bowl. I would just look at it as I'd trust Jalen Hurts 100 times over 100 over Nick Foles.
Yeah, you just hope that he can get back to it.
Have the career.
There was the guy, the Joe Burrow. We referenced this at one point. There was one of the ESPN people on not First Take, on the overnight when we heard it, that said, at what point do you stop bringing up Joe Burrow's past success?
And I think that is a fair discussion. If this year flames out with Joe, I think it's a very fair discussion.
And is it a fair discussion after this year for Jalen Hurts? Not right now.
Yes.
Not right now,
Yes.
because, again, it's only 4 weeks, new offensive coordinator, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
But that conversation, if he doesn't turn things around himself, might happen.
It will be, and that will be incredibly, I think, very fair.
Yeah, and disappointing at the same time. All right, give us one more text, and then I'll give you some of the notes from the inter-squad game yesterday that the Phillies had at Citizens Bank Park.
All right. Chris from somewhere that I cannot pronounce, but shout out Chris, says, I truly believe that Jalen Hurts is like a roller coaster. His peak was the 2022 season. Low was the 2021 season. My input is I believe with all the changes of offensive coordinators, the only one that fit with him was Shane Steichen.
Well, I get it. Why Chris is saying that, because they were clicking on all cylinders. But the only thing is, the numbers are there when you see second most separation in the NFL.
I mean, they're
Like they're there. The receivers are there. And
He just is not hitting them. He's hesitating. He's holding the ball too long.
he's looking for the big play.
And, well, that could be too, or he's – because it can't even be – you can't even say wanting guys to be open. Because
Yeah,
they're
'cause
open.
They're open, yeah.
They're open.
And that was even after last week when they were missing A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Like they were still getting separation.
Kellen Moore is getting spare parts in an offense wide open.
Yeah.
When you take A.J. Brown, the most important part of your offense, away for 3 of those games, he's done an admirable job.
Mm-hmm.
I just questioned Kellen Moore last Sunday. His first quarter was horrendous.
I thought that was a horrible game
horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
All right, I want to thank NBC Sports Philadelphia for being able to get some notes from the inter-squad game because the game itself was not available for the media.
Right.
But then obviously
Which I also
Rob Thompson
felt weird.
afterward.
I just
Maybe they wanted to control the environment as much as they could. I don't know.
Which is what to do with the media. I don't understand.
I don't know. But Rob Thompson, a quote from him, and I don't know what Snitker was saying last year, but quote, I was really excited about the intensity of it. Guys really got after it. Now, if you remember, they were placing wagers, on the game. Did you see the Stubbs Instagram post, by the way?
No, I didn't.
How did I know Stubbs would be behind it?
It was actually kind of awesome. I think it's real. I want to confirm it, but I'll tell you guys anyway. If it's not, it's just hilarious. It was a photo of him behind the dish, and he wrote, "This is for Pete," because they were wagering on the game.
It does not look like that's real. Hang on.
I don't think that's real.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is it real?
Yes, it is. It's on his
Yes.
story. This one's for Pete.
I swear
Honestly,
to you,
dude.
I swear to you, he.
Oh, come on, bro. That's actually
come on,
hilarious.
stop.
No, you
but
need
it's
to
not
stop it on
smart.
that one.
No, but it's not. That's not smart to
It's
do.
not smart about it.
It's just fun. He's having fun.
That's
Let
great.
the guy
That's great.
enjoy something.
God
He's not
sakes.
playing, so whatever. He didn't say we're gonna go beat the Mets. He said this is
Oh,
for
I'm
Pete.
waiting for that one to come.
Oh no, I think he's
I'm
gonna.
waiting for
No,
that
I
one.
think what you've said, they're gonna put a sock in his mouth this time.
Absolutely.
Your
Put a sock
co-host
in
is
his
wearing
mouth.
a Mets suck
Damn
t-shirt
right I
before
am.
he even match
And you
up
know
with the
what?
team.
And you know what? And no one cares in
'Cause
the
I'm a
national
fan,
media.
damn it.
He's just a fan of the team. No one cares. Garrett Stubbs is our Arcia. He did exactly the same thing that Arcia did, that this entire city hated Arcia
Right,
for.
but
Just don't spin it any
John,
other way.
This is not that, so we can't
It
now.
is that.
Yeah, the
it's
Instagram
not
post has
at
nothing
all.
to do with
and we
anything.
can't now kill
That's
the
not
guy
bulletin
for
board
having every
material.
little
Look.
bit of fun.
That's not
That's
bulletin
great.
board material. That's
No,
nothing.
I'm just saying is you just don't.
I loved it. I thought
Wow,
it was,
okay.
I thought it was great.
It's a funny joke that has nothing to do with anyone.
It
they're
is.
Yeah,
playing.
John, I wouldn't get upset about that.
It's all right. You can do whatever you want. You guys can do whatever you want. You like DJ AAA as your favorite. You like it.
No,
You got it. I get it.
Look,
I
I'm
would
ready for him to be gone.
I'd prefer my marginal players to be the most in the shadows ever. And last year sort of proved that point.
Oh.
I would like that most. I would
Who's
like
an
them to be the
Instagram?
most
We actually have an
marginal.
update. He's deleted his Instagram and all social media and says,
Yeah.
John told me I can't have fun, so all good.
Can't have fun. Yeah,
No
can't
fun
have
league,
fun.
man.
It's all about fun.
All right. Well, for him, it is.
Yeah, it
Ranger
is.
Suarez, he pitched yesterday. 21 pitches over 2 innings. That's 2 quick innings. And apparently, according to Rob Thompson, again, this is
course.
according to him,
Yes.
he sat 92, 93 because velocity's been a concern recently. 92, 93. I've seen him hit 94, 95 on the gun, so that's still a little alarming. I just wonder how the off-speed pitches looked, which we didn't get much information on that. Because his curveball, his last outing was bad.
Terrible.
It was just floating over the middle of the plate. Hoffman did not pitch yesterday. He had a stiff neck when he woke up. Spencer Turnbull was erratic, so I wouldn't expect Turnbull to be on the roster, even though
So you
he's
don't think he's even on the roster?
the guy hasn't pitched since when?
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying is that mop-up is mop-up, but I guess you got other guys that you're going to Banks. Banks will be a mop-up guy maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they're saying
Jose Ruiz will
Turnbull
be
could
mop-up.
be a candidate for a bullpen spot, but I mean, look, if it's between him and Walker, obviously I'd probably go Turnbull.
I'm going Walker.
By the way, thank you for not wanting to do the worst radio segment ever when the playoffs come around. Do you know what it is? One of the worst radio segments. When people before the postseason go, let's do the postseason roster.
Oh, I was doing that tomorrow.
No, you're not having that on
Damn
there.
it.
And you have the number of play, and no
That
one
was
ever
the
gets the
lead.
number of play, and they go, did I pick 6? Did I pick 5?
That was the lead.
Did I pick 4?
Connor, that was
Well, we're going to have to
we gotta
redo
scrap
we'll have to redo the
Damn
promo
it.
then. It's the worst.
The game ended in a 5-5 tie.
Okay.
Kyle Schwarber's team, they were captains. I think it was cool that they picked players. Will there be beef? Will there be beef? Because Schwarber picked somebody and didn't pick another player.
I loved this concept. I loved.
That's great.
I will tell you, though, you asked about it. It's the exact same way the Braves were last year.
Okay. Is it the
They were
exact same
having
way?
a blast, and it was fun.
right.
They had fans come in.
I remember that,
They
yeah.
had fans come in, and they collected money for charity. And the fans came out, and the fans cheered. The players clowned, and they picked teams same sort of way.
Yeah.
Houston did this, by the way, the last couple of years, and they found their way to the, ALCS and the World Series. So Houston thought it was a winner. It didn't work for Atlanta, and last night they lose again.
Now, I'm confused by this line in the story.
What's that?
Hopefully we can put our heads together here. The inter-squad game ended in a 5-5 tie. Schwarber's team was up 5-3 going into the bottom of the 8th when Nick Castellanos hit back-to-back homers off left-hander Tanner Banks to even the score. So did he get 2 at-bats?
Maybe.
And then it says Weston Wilson also homered off of Allard. So does that mean
What?
Castellanos?
No, I think that's a mistype in the story.
That's what I'm trying to figure
I think
out.
it's Castellanos and who was the other person?
And Weston Wilson.
Yeah, I think they both went yard then.
That's what
I would guess is the.
I doubt they would have Castellanos just go ahead, run it back.
Should be. Yeah, it should be.
All right.
Let's hope not.
So there's your rundown of the inter-squad game that happened yesterday at Citizens Bank Park.
I like it though. I like the approach they took. And look, you're either gonna win or lose based on you have superior talent to whoever you're playing. You should go win.
I'm curious. Did we get any texts on the Game 2 starter, Connor?
Yes, we did.
All right. We'll discuss
that's
this a little
interesting.
bit more coming up next because Rob Thompson didn't really give an answer. However, part of it may be matchup based too.
I think he did give an answer.
Part of it might be matchup based. I'll explain more coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas. We'll see what the people are saying about the Game 2 starter and all of our topics today on this Thursday morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
We're joined by
On Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, Haley, I'm not going to talk about what we were just talking about during the break. No, Haley took a photo of my T-shirt today.
Yeah, very popular.
For the Instagram account, and it's my typical, it's bland. It's red with, 9 letters on it? No, 8 letters.
That's
I know
8
math.
letters. Whoa, dude.
Mets suck. That's all it says on the shirt.
That's all it says.
Now, as I've said to you numerous times, John, perks of being a fat kid.
Okay.
You know when I got this shirt?
No.
2007.
2007 is correct.
Really?
I've had this shirt for 17 years.
Okay, that's wild. That's truly wild.
Perks of being a fat kid.
That's amazing.
I still fit in my clothes from middle school.
See, now if I did that the opposite, I can't fit for the other reason. Going the opposite direction. But
It's still kind of big on me.
Mine were and mine were too super skinny. So it's the exact opposite.
You
can count my ribs.
I think in 2007, I think I weigh 15 pounds less than
what age was that?
What's middle school? 14? 13?
So 13, 14.
Yeah.
You could count every rib in my body.
Nice.
Like I was emaciated. Absolutely. So look how things go.
Listen, man, perks of being a fat kid.
It is.
You can wear.
See, it doesn't work
clothes,
the other way.
You can wear clothes from. Well, you could try.
No, I mean seriously.
He just might not be comfortable.
I don't think it would be. It would look fat guy in a little coat. What was that from? Tommy Boy.
I love
great
that
Tommy
movie.
Boy scene.
All right, so Rob Thompson was asked about the Game 2 starter yesterday, and I don't know, you think he gave an
I think he
answer?
answered it. Yeah.
So what I saw on this NBC Sports Philadelphia article is that maybe it's also matchup based.
Okay. What leads you to believe? Give some of the quotes.
I don't have the quotes in front of me. I just have what they added in there, that the Mets are a much more right-handed lineup, whereas the Brewers are more balanced. So if it's a right-handed heavy lineup, Nola is obviously the better pitcher in the matchup than Christopher Sanchez. But then that goes back to the original discussion. If you're down 0-1, God forbid, against the Mets, do you want Sanchez, even though he's been the best pitcher at home, going up against a right-handed heavy lineup? Or do you want Nola? I mean, I do wonder. I do believe Game 1's going to be what decides Rob Thompson's, what makes him decide what he wants to do.
Thompson said yesterday on the Zoom call, he says it depends on the team that we're playing.
Yep.
So very much that's a part of it. It depends on the team that we're playing, what he's going to, the decision he's going to be making. The home and road splits, you have to factor in. He's so much better at home.
Right.
When talking about Sanchez, he talks about that. To me, that says a lot. And he says, if anything, it's a positive. You have another pitcher you feel comfortable with that can go out there and shut down another ball club. He gives us another quality pitcher, and so I think it's flat out that he's saying it.
Well, let me ask you this. How many years has Zach Wheeler been the best pitcher on this Phillies team?
Every year he's been here.
Every year he's been here.
How many years has he been your opening day starter?
No, this year was his last year.
Last
so
year.
2 years now he's been
2
here.
years?
This year was his first.
No,
time.
Was this year the first? All right,
Yeah,
so
this is
one
his
time.
Now, wait a minute. Here's what he said about Nola. You got a guy in Nola. He's calm and cool. It doesn't matter where he's pitching. I think a lot of those things are in play, and they're things to have a conversation about, and we will try to come up with a collective decision.
Yeah, and I don't think Nola can't pitch in that spot. I personally don't think.
What do you mean? Can't pitch in 2 or 3?
Either. I think he's fine.
I think he's fine either way.
But what I will say is Rob Thompson's default when rubber meets the road has been, I'm going to give the spot to the guy that I've seen do it the most. And that's why my bet would still be that Nola gets Game 2. That would be my guess. And I understand what Rob Thompson's saying, and I think he's weighing all these options, but I don't think he's decided, and I don't think he will be until we see
Based
game
off
one
what
finish.
he said, it does sound like Sanchez
It does,
in
absolutely.
Game 2.
It does. I mean, look, now, and 2, here what you got. Think of it this way. You got to play chess, not checkers, even though you don't want to. I would believe that you're looking at and you're saying, okay, it's Wheeler. If you go let's say you go Wheeler, Nola, which might be what he decides to do. He goes Wheeler, Nola, game 1, game 2. He takes Mike Missanelli's advice, and he's up 1-0, and then he goes to Nola game 2. Then you'd have Sanchez going in game 3, and you're not bringing back Zach Wheeler on short rest. If there's going to be if you're up 2-1, he's not pitching game 4.
No, it's Ranger.
So then you'd be starting the NLCS with Wheeler. I mean, with Nola.
Right.
I mean, I was told, and I tell you, and I can say it now, Dansby Swanson.
Mm-hmm.
Now the season's over. Dansby Swanson.
Our season's been over for a month.
Exactly. Dansby Swanson flat out saying, I think your Phillies can, because they have as good a chance as anybody to win it all. They're the team, they can easily go 11-8. But one of the things we're saying is, well, how could it not happen? Because when your ace pitcher has to pitch twice in the NLDS.
Well, let's just bring this up real quick.
He
Because
thinks that's bad.
I know all the concerns with Ranger Suarez, but would it shock anybody if he went out there and threw 6 innings of,
Yes.
4 hit balls?
6
At this point, it would.
I don't
6
think it
it would.
shocked
At
me.
this, it would because of the way his arms
can't
look.
pitch 6
It's not
innings.
because I don't believe in the mentality of Ranger Suarez. It's because his arms.
He hasn't pitched 6 since May.
I'm not expecting it, but I'm saying if he did it, I don't think anyone would be like,
I would be surprised.
holy
I'd
cow,
be
Ranger
floored.
I would be,
Suarez.
but it would be pleasantly surprised. Like
Yeah, but we've seen him do it. Like the postseason.
when his arm
man.
when his arm is fresh,
If
and
you-
it's concerning.
I got you. I
But-
know. I'm concerned as you are, but I think
July
that
12th
pitcher's
was the
still
last
in
time he
there
pitched
somewhere.
6 full innings. July 12th.
He's
and
due.
if Wheeler pitches, game 5, if he has to pitch twice in this series, then Wheeler would go. He wouldn't be able to go again until game 3.
Well, what do you say we not go 5?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
thing
Let's win
you
our
don't
own
want
boys.
Wheeler. You don't want Wheeler pitching twice in the NLDS. And if you can do that, I think you're in really good shape.
Yep. All right. Real quick. So NBC Sports Philadelphia did like a Phillies show.
Okay.
At the Comcast Plaza in Center City yesterday. It's really cool. And the Phillies had the bus going around, like the pep rally bus. The
Fanatic Sports Update.
Keyword, much more friendly than yesterday's, is reveal. Text the word reveal, R-E-V-E-A-L, reveal to 45911, or you can enter it on 975thefanatic.com or the Fanatic app. Again, the word reveal. One random entry will win $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Winners will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. Complete rules at 975thefanatic.com. It's all sponsored by Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Good luck.
Wherever you are, the Kincade and Salciunas show is accessible. Did you know you can watch the show on YouTube right now?
You can listen to the show anywhere via 975thefanatic.com.
If you missed a show, then listen to the on-demand podcast or watch on YouTube.
And of course, we are live weekday mornings 6 to 10 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 8:02 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco will be joining us coming up at 8:10 from Inside the Birds and 97.5 The Fanatic to talk some Eagles. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas at 8:05, and we've been talking Phillies a lot today during the show. I wonder if we can do something as an exercise.
Okay, tell me.
I say this sarcastically. Could we do a week-by-week Jalen Hurts excuse chart? And here's the reason why I say that. So Brendan Gunn, who does a great job posting our videos and quotes and all that kind of stuff, posted one of our topics, which is who is Jalen Hurts as a quarterback? Who is he? I think that's a very fair question.
Very fair.
Because you could say he's the best quarterback in the league. I'll disagree with you, but you could say it. You could say he's the worst quarterback in the league. I'll disagree with you, but you can say it. This question has a million different answers. Who is he as a quarterback? And so this guy, Seeslaw, checks in. 114 yards passing. Oof, which is inaccurate. It's like 158 last week or something. But he says, by the way, it's tough to be accurate when you're being run over by 3/4 tons of defensive linemen with 6 sacks to their credit.
Whoa.
First off, he held the ball.
He's holding the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL.
That's on him.
No, part of it is. There's some.
Yeah.
There's some of them there where they've broken down.
But that's not the tweet that I really care about. The tweet is then J Reed 456 then says, it's almost like they didn't see the slop that was out there on offense. I expect nothing less from Hack Radio, guys. Okay, yeah, he did not have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. First of all, this question is not a who is Jalen Hurts in week 4 of the 2024 NFL season question. This is who is Jalen Hurts in his career. We've seen one elite year.
Correct.
We've seen last year, which was a disappointment. We have seen so far this year's struggles. And in 2021, they had to take the ball out of his hands and start running the football for them to turn the season around. We've seen basically one really good season out of Jalen Hurts, and I believe he was fully deserving of the contract because he actually showed that he could do it, unlike a lot of the other quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm not even saying they should have paid him. But this conversation is more than just week 4. But to Jay's point, yeah, you're right. They didn't have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith last week, and Lane Johnson was out. That means he better be freaking good next week.
Oh, seriously, there's no excuse.
Because if he is still turning the football over, when Johnson, Smith, and Brown are all back, then what's the next excuse? Which is why I say I would like to do an exercise of the week-by-week Hurts excuse chart. Because if he does not play well next week against Cleveland, when he has all his guys back, then what are you going to say?
That's fair.
Stop always trying to defend a guy who's struggling.
I have no idea where this comes from.
Want more. Be a fan. Not a fanboy. Be a fan. Want more from your team. Want more from your players. If the Phillies lose in the NLDS, rip them to shreds. If the Eagles fall short of winning the division, this season is a failure and heads will roll. Want more from your teams. Don't just be happy that you have a player on your team because you like him or you like things about him. You like his persona. You like things that he did in the past. If he's not playing well, call it out. I don't know how that's hard for people.
I do. Because I'm telling you, the seismic shift in this fan base is amazing. And some of it for the better. Some of it absolutely for the worse. And this is part of it. Accountability of players.
I just don't get it, man.
Especially $250 million players. I mean, it's unbelievable. Highest paid athlete in the city. It's unreal.
And if he does not play well,
Just call it out.
just call it out. Like, you can make up I can make up excuses. I thought Kellen Moore's game plan to start the game was horrible. He did also
we said that.
He did also have Saquon Barkley wide open down the field on the first play, and he threw it 17 yards out of bounds. Like, the play call was bad, but the throw was worse. Just call it out. Everybody can be on an even playing field. The whole team sucked on Sunday.
They did.
Just admit it to yourself.
I don't understand what's so hard about it.
Sorry. I had to get that one off my chest. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with the birthday boy, Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Are you going to tell us the best thing that happened in every year of your life?
No, I'm not going to do that. Not remotely. Hadn't even crossed
What
my
was
mind.
age 7?
I don't even remember.
You won a
dude.
Little League title.
Bro, I can't remember what I had
T-ball
for
title.
breakfast
You probably
yesterday.
did.
Yeah, well, I
Bragged
was a great
about it,
T-ball
too.
player. This ain't about me, though. Boys, break out your tap shoes. We're going grave dancing. You want to start in Houston or you want to start with Atlanta?
Well, Atlanta always for me.
All right. Well, let's talk about it because the Braves, well, their season came to a close yesterday after falling in the wild card series.
Pops it up, foul ground, first base. Up the line, Higashioka makes the catch, tumbles over Solano. He held on. The game is over, and it's on to Los Angeles. The Padres have swept the Atlanta Braves in the wild card series, 5-4 over Atlanta.
Yeah, it feels
It's
good.
nice to
It feels
just
good.
see them eliminated.
Well, I mean, they didn't get enough rest this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe the first round
come on.
bye could have helped them. Would have gotten some of their guys back.
You
No,
know,
that would have hurt them then.
and you specifically know, John, because you know people. How
Oh, yeah.
many Braves fans will hate watch the Phillies?
Oh, they will, absolutely. They will lie in wait. And for many of you that are attached some way to my timeline, you'll catch shrapnel. That entire Metroplex will be waiting for the Phillies to lose, and they will be rooting for it vehemently.
God bless whoever hating on me.
Before 2 years ago, what's the like?
They
what's
looked at the Mets. They didn't even look at the Phillies
Okay.
as a factor.
So are they? Would
The
they?
Phillies were never like. I mean, it was always Braves Mets.
If the Mets win today and they move on, they're rooting Mets. Do you think?
No, because the Mets have always been the team that they hate.
So they're
But
rooting
stadium
no.
collapse.
Exactly. They're rooting for
Yeah.
disaster because they can't. They will not be able to take it if they see the Phillies again having October success, and then they'll just sit there and go, "But if you didn't win a championship,"
Well-
when for years they went from 1995 to 2021,
Yeah.
not winning a title. And every year they would talk about the accomplishments of winning a division
Winning a
and how big
division,
it was.
right.
You can't have it both ways.
Boys, if the Brewers win tonight, the Phillies are the last NL East team standing for 3 years running. So
Damn
that's
right,
cool.
man.
That would be
And
good.
We had another streak end yesterday. Six
that?
straight ALCS, or was it 7 straight from the Houston Astros? Whatever the case, they won't be back. The Detroit Tigers.
Ground ball softly to second. Keith will charge, field and flip. Tigers win. They're moving on. They pour out of the dugout and mob each other behind the pitcher's mound. What a moment in Houston.
So, my celebration for that is not necessarily the Stros being done. It's for what the Tigers accomplished.
It's both. Come on, it can be both.
It can be both, but like
It is both. It is. Oh, I hate that
the
commercial.
Tigers, they had one. I tweeted this out about a week ago when they made the playoffs. The Tigers had one hitter with 20-plus home runs,
I can't believe it.
and they only had one hitter with more than 60 RBI. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, dude.
It tells me why they absolutely cannot win a World Series. So I think the Yankees, is it Yankees Royals? Yankees Royals. I would expect the Guardians and the Yankees to advance.
There's a lot of Matty Carshield fans out there right
You
now.
know it, baby. That's my guy. And you all laughed at me when I said it. We're going to miss Matty Carshield.
No,
Guess
we're not.
what?
No, we're not.
Well,
It's better than some of the guys they got.
listen.
The Phillies are a better team.
History will be on my
Better
side
than some
one
of the guys
way
they got,
or
though.
another. All right, let's round out with this question we started the show with.
The question is, what have we gotten so far out of Jalen Hurts? And is what we have gotten so far who he is? Like, is the dream of 2022 him coming back to that? I don't want to say he's dead, but is it likely?
It's not likely. It's not dead, but it's not likely. Like, I don't know. The larger sample size is that he's an average, not an average, but an above average quarterback, not an elite guy. And until he proves that, I think we've kind of come to the point where we have to stop believing in the what if and
All right.
start with the what is.
Well, let's ask a football guy. Not that you're not one, Connor. We're just all fake football.
Well, you're not.
I'm trying to grow into it. Maybe one day.
Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From Inside the Birds at 97.5 The Fanatic. And because it is a bye week, he's back to his regular scheduled programming. That's Andrew DeCecco. Andrew, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Good to be with you. I'm doing well.
So I'd love for you to answer the question that Connor was just talking about as we reset the show there at the end of our Today's Headlines segment. I asked the question to start the show. Who is Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, Andrew? And the question is whether or not he could still be the guy that took the world by storm in 2022, or is it more likely that he's obviously less than that, but hopefully not a bad quarterback? So in your eyes, who is Jalen Hurts?
It's a great question, Andrew. And I can remember doing a show probably back in July when we were doing our off-season rankings, and some on our station bristled at the notion of me having Jalen Hurts ranked 9th or 10th and going into the season. But for me, there's still a lot to be learned about Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, you've seen the good, the bad, you've seen the great in 2022. But I think for me, probably somewhere right now around the middle of the road. Now, do I think a lot of folks maybe are overreacting a little bit to a 4-game sample size? Yeah, I do, because you have to take into account the new offense, the new offense, and getting AJ and Devontae back are going to obviously give it a new outlook. But I do think that there's been the turnovers that keep surfacing, the lack of spatial awareness when you're on the field, and situational awareness that you have to be mindful of. But for me, I'm not ready to say that he's not one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL. I still would put him probably right now about 10 to 12. I think that's fair.
Do you think Kellen Moore is off to a good start here?
Well, it's tough to grade it when you don't have Devontae for a game and you don't have AJ for 2 games, John. But
you have 3
I have
games.
to tell you, it being ranked, 3 games. So being ranked with just 19th in motion, I think is kind of it's kind of surprising, considering that we expected to see a ton of that coming into the season. But you have to really assess what the offense truly is when you have all the pieces in place and everyone's healthy and everything's sort of firing on all cylinders. But right now, I have to say, kind of underwhelmed with the offense. You don't see a ton of players being schemed open, getting players into space, which was a calling card for Kellen Moore going into the season. And a lot of slow developing plays, especially last week when the quarterback needed just some sort of get the ball out quick, have some early answers. And I did not think that Kellen Moore did a great job helping him out in that regard, John, but I think that it's going to look a lot different coming out of the bye week. I really do. I'm not swaying too far one way or the other right now.
Is the 19th in pre-snap motion Kellen Moore's decision, or is this the collaborative effort, Andrew, after Nick Sirianni scoffed at the media for even questioning him last year and his lack of usage in pre-snap motion?
Well, you could look at it as a collaborative effort. It could be a byproduct of not having 2 premier weapons, one of which for a few games here. But you also have to look at it, is Jalen Hurts comfortable with that? We don't know. So it's kind of hard to make those assessments without fully knowing where Eagles land on that. I still think 4 games in, Andrew, it's still a little too premature to suggest that maybe someone's a little bit more heavy-handed with the offense versus maybe the other school of thought where maybe the player's not overly infatuated with motion. We're gonna learn a lot about Eagles coming up here because they have a very favorable slate of games starting week 6 against the Browns. So if you still don't see that and you see it kind of start swaying the other direction, I think that it's fair to say that maybe someone's having a little bit more of a heavier hand in the say.
When Nick Sirianni talks about having a say in the defense, you've seen Vic Fangio, you know his history. What kind of say do you actually think he's got?
I have to say probably not a whole lot. When you have a coordinator who's been doing it for decades, he knows exactly what he wants. He knows what he's looking at. He knows the personnel and the certain situations that he's looking for. Nick Sirianni is ultimately going to get final say, John. He's the head coach. But I have to think that when you hire someone like a Vic Fangio, when you hire someone like a Kellen Moore, those coordinators get full autonomy of overseeing their respective rooms. And I have to think that Nick isn't going to get a ton of say defensively. So I think for me, it's solely on Vic Fangio and calling his defense. And to be fair for Vic, he's kind of in a bind, guys, because he doesn't have a ton of – in order for him to run his system in the way that it's supposed to go, you have to have some sort of a pass rush, and your hands are sort of tied when your pass rush isn't able to get home, and you're playing off coverage, and teams are able to pick you apart like that. So he's going to have to find a way to scheme around that and find ways to adapt to his personnel. But it's solely going to be Vic making those calls, I would imagine.
We're speaking to Andrew Zachecko on the Comcast Business Hotline. Andrew, we've been getting into conversations. We talked about this a lot yesterday about statement wins and style points, especially against lesser teams like the Cleveland Browns and New York Giants. I first want you to answer this question. Do those things matter to you when your team is struggling with high expectations? But then the follow-up question to that, if the Commanders beat the Browns this weekend by 2 or 3 scores and the Eagles squeak by with a field goal victory, does that change your opinion? Would love for you to talk about both.
That's a great question, Andrew. So style points for me don't really, it doesn't really have any effect one way or the other. You'd want to see how the team wins or loses and in what fashion. Are there certain areas that continue to surface? Are there same blemishes coming to fruition that they're not able to correct? If so, then that's something that we need to have a discussion about, and that's a troubling trend. But if the Eagles aren't able to, I like your scenario here. So if the Commanders win in commanding fashion over the Browns, and the Eagles aren't able to get by with a pretty significant lead there, I think that offers some cause for concern. But I would also say that every week is different, every scenario is different, and circumstances are different.
Spoken like a true football guy.
Yeah. What you want to see from the Eagles is you want to see, Andrew, you want to see them get out to faster starts, right? Because slow starts have plagued this team through the first 4 weeks. You want to see them protect the football. That, to me, is really what that's all you can really assess. And you want to see them making those improvements throughout the bye week and eliminating some of those errors that continue to plague this team.
Donovan McNabb is driving a car, okay, and Ron Jaworski's next to him. And then you've got Carson Wentz is in the back seat too, and they're standing there. And then they're just listening to sports talk radio, and all the defenses of Jalen Hurts, and all the excuse making for Jalen Hurts. What do you think they think? Because you've seen you know what it was like for quarterbacks in this town.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they think about it, and why is it happening?
Blatant disrespect. If I'm them, and I'm listening to the defenders for Jalen, considering that everything that they did was often scrutinized and looked at under the microscope, they have to be sort of puzzled. And I think a lot of that, John, has to do with today's NFL. And back then, it just seemed like everything. A lot of folks were tougher on the quarterbacks, and everything that they did was sort of looked at under the microscope. So I think right now what you're seeing, I'm not exactly sure. I don't think that it's fair, but in many regards, you're seeing Jalen Hurts being held to different standards than the quarterbacks of the previous Eagles eras. And I don't think that's fair, because if you're going to hold one player to a certain level of accountability, I think you certainly have to look at Jalen Hurts and hold him to that same level.
All right, last thing for you, Andrew, because I do want to get a positive in here as well. But through the first 4 weeks, what is something that Andrew Zachecko has loved so far, that you feel confident in this team? But then what also have you seen through 4 weeks where you go, that's something that they definitely need to overcome or they're in trouble?
The running game, Andrew. I would say the running game is as advertised. And it sounds simple enough, but going into the season, not everybody was sold on Saquon. Even me, I had some trepidation. I didn't know if he was going to be a seamless fit, if they were going to try and shoehorn him into the offense, if he was going to be the same player at 27 years old, because he does have a lot of mileage on him. But I think that he's bailed the Eagles out of a lot of tough spots. He's helped the offensive line when they've been banged up of late, and he's found ways to, late in the games, put the Eagles in prime position to win football games, sans the Falcons game. But me, I think that's something that they should be able to hang their hat on, especially when things maybe aren't going their way offensively. You have a good running game you can lean on. Me, on the other side of things, tackling issues. The tackling issues, which is something that players have done their entire life, and you're not able to do that right now, week 4 into the season, and you don't have live tackling drills throughout the season. To me, I think that's something that's probably going to continue to repeat itself throughout the year, because I just don't know what you can do to remedy that. You can
Yeah,
talk
and
about
when the coach says that starts with me, we got to put him in a better honestly, I'll be the first one to rip Nick Sirianni. I can't rip him for Avonte Maddox completely whiffing.
Not at all.
Yeah, I can't blame him. I saw a play of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, by the way. Somebody posted the all 22 of it when the Buccaneers were in the red zone, and he turned his back. Like, he didn't even try to make contact. Like, I can't blame Sirianni for that.
He throws his arm out a lot.
Yeah. I can't blame Sirianni for that.
Exactly, and that's exactly it. You know, there's certain instances there that players have to go out there and execute as well. So, I mean, you could blame Nick Sirianni all you want, and he does have a prominent piece into the way that the season has gone so far. He's the head coach. Everything starts and ends with him on the field. I mean, when you're looking at some of those tackling efforts and things like that, look, teams are going to continue to put players in space because the Eagles aren't going to be able to generate a consistent pass rush, which forces the defensive backs and the linebackers to come up and make tackles in space. And we haven't seen players take great angles, and as a result, you're seeing a lot of these plays that are short passes turn into explosive plays because of the tackling efforts.
Andrew, you're the man. We appreciate it. Can't wait for next week when we get set for a football game. We have you in studio for an hour again. We appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend.
There is Andrew Jacheco on the Comcast Business Hotline from Inside the Birds.
He covers a lot.
He does. He's freaking
time.
amazing. All right, coming up next, we do have a lot of Phillies discussion still on the table today. Jason Stark, the Hall of Famer, was on with the best show ever yesterday. We have a full-on Phillies segment coming up next because he talked about a strength, a concern, and a topic of ours from yesterday, all for the Phillies in the playoffs. You'll hear all three clips from the Hall of Famer next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
It's 8:32 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Let's take care of business first, and then we'll talk about John taking care of business.
Oh, jeez. I'm on quite a roll.
I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm not blaming you. All right? I'm not.
Can I tell quickly? Do you want me to tell quickly?
No, we're going to take care of business, and then we're going to talk about you taking care of business.
Gotcha.
All right. Because I teased the Jason Stark thing.
Yes, we want to get to the Jason Stark because it is great stuff.
I didn't tease about you.
I understand. Being a horrible human being? No, I think I feel like a horrible human being. And
you can feel like it, but you're not one, and we'll discuss why. All right, so Jason Stark was on with the best show ever yesterday. He talked about something you should be confident in, something that a lot of people will keep an eye on, and then something that we talked about yesterday. So let's first start off with the good. Here's Jason Stark talking about how great Zach Wheeler has been in Game 1.
I looked at Zach Wheeler in the Game 1s that he's started. Ready? So he's now started Game 1 4 times here over the last 2 years. Here's how he's done. 26 innings, which means he's averaged pitching into the 7th inning in every game. 11 hits, so an average of under 3 hits a game. The 4 lineups he's faced have hit 126. These are playoff games against playoff teams, okay? So keep that in mind. 126. And he's given up a total of 3 runs in the 4 games. So his career Game 1 ERA is 1.04. You know where that ranks among every pitcher in the division play era who started at least 4 Game 1s? There are 49 of them. He ranks number 1 among everybody.
That's wild.
That's incredible.
It is.
That's incredible, dude. And he's honestly could go down as one of the best signings in Phillies franchise history. Now, they have to win something. They got to win a World Series. But even just individually, I mean,
wait a minute, though.
They don't have to.
No, they don't, because I always hear that Aaron Nola is one of the greatest pitchers in Phillies history.
Right, and they've never won anything. Yeah, that's
and he's never won.
Well, my argument would be more Halladay.
No, but
right, and Halladay never won.
Was a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Wheeler's he's been better than what they even expected when they signed him originally. And, of course, that's why he has since gotten the monster deal that Verlander and Scherzer got a couple of years ago. I mean, he's one of the highest paid pitchers in Major League Baseball for an average annual salary, and he's earned every cent of it.
Every little bit of it.
Let me ask you this. Is there another dude out there right now in the postseason that you feel that way about? Skubal for Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, Skubal literally won the Triple Crown in the American League, as did Chris Sale, but he's now out because the Braves, and he wasn't going to really pitch anyway.
The Mets don't have that guy. The Brewers don't have that guy. The Orioles are out, so Corbin Burns can't be that guy. The Royals don't have that guy. I mean, do the Dodgers? I would argue no. They have good pitchers.
They do not.
No, they don't.
Do not.
No, Zach Wheeler might be the best. I think I can say comfortably it's between him and Skubal as the best pitchers, starting pitchers, going into the postseason.
And let's be real about Detroit. We're not seeing them in the World Series.
Correct.
I think that's very safe to say.
Correct. I do still believe like the Royals staff, God, they had a great year this year.
How did they lose 106 last year and get this good this fast?
I don't know, man. Their starting pitching, pitching's been amazing this year.
The Royals are going to be a problem in that division for a while.
Yeah.
And they have young guys. I was checking out Dork Boy. Was sitting there on Spot Track yesterday going, damn. Like, they've got 3 years of control on the majority of those.
Yeah, my only thing is, like, all right, I feel comfortable putting money on this now.
Okay.
If Seth Lugo's on the team next year, he's not pitching the way he did this year.
All right, that's fair. But what if he
went 16-9 with an ERA of 3 this year? That's absurd. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but what if he goes 3.3 ERA.
Right. No, I know. I don't even know if it's going to be 3-3. But, I mean, look, Michael Wacha was great for them this year. Brady Singer was great for them. Like, their whole starting pitching was tremendous. We talked about how great the Philly staff was the first half of the season. They've been good all year. And then here's Jason Stark talking about maybe one of the concerns or questions you have. Here he is talking about the Phillies and swinging outside of the zone, which is clearly what the issue was in the Arizona series last year.
And is this offense going to chase the way these guys did against the Diamondbacks? Are they going to chase the way they did in September? This September. Did you know that no team in baseball swung at more pitches outside the strike zone in September than the Phillies did? Over 37%. It's way too much. The Dodgers were at 28. The Yankees were at 27. The Phillies swung at 37% of pitches outside the strike zone. Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, both over 40%. And that can't happen in these games.
But it has happened the last 2 years.
Right.
Trey 1 year. It's happened with Schwarber and Harper the last 2 years. People just stop throwing them strikes and let them get themselves
Castellanos,
out.
after his ridiculous tear, he was
the Braves pitched to him, though.
Yeah, they pitched to him. He was the best player in the world. And then the Diamondbacks kept throwing outside, and his helmet was flying off. So, legitimate question or concern to have going into the postseason. Last thing, they asked him about the topic we had yesterday, John, and that's selling your tickets and, of course, the Mets fans being open to buying them. Here's what Jason Stark had to say.
I mean, to me, walking into the park for an October baseball game, feeling nervous is one of the best parts of October. We don't know what's going to happen. They've got to play the games. But that feeling of what those games mean and what it's like to be there and share those emotions with 40,000 people, we don't get those chances much in any other walk of life. But they come around here now every October. So people can sell those tickets if they feel like they need to for their psychological and emotional well-being. I wouldn't miss this stuff.
No. And especially when you sell it, if you are going to, for whatever reason, sell it to a friend. Don't do the secondary market.
And don't sell it to a friend for a profit.
Yeah.
Like if we knew somebody that would do that.
Yeah, Connor, you missed that conversation. We won't
like
out we won't out the person.
A buddy of ours, Vike Mito.
We won't.
We would be really upset. Don't do that.
You can't sell your tickets for a profit to your friends. It's got to be face value.
It's got to be
or
face
even
value.
If you want to lower it a little bit, if you can't make it.
No. Face value.
All right, fair.
I'd put them on secondary market for face value.
Face value.
If you had to.
Okay. In case the people are trying to figure out what the hell is going on, you had to use the lavatory.
Yeah, I felt like a terrible human being. Our bathroom is locked down on this floor.
Yeah, it's being cleaned.
No, there is a problem with the thing, so they had to lock it down. They bring it in like the people to fix the pipes or something.
That was John from yesterday.
Yeah,
so I go up to the 5th floor. I run up to the 5th floor, and I walk in. I have to go to the bathroom quite badly. And so I run in and go in the very first stall.
Yes.
Which was wide open. There was no one in there. So I take care of but while I'm taking care of my business, I hear someone else come into the room because we have to punch in a code to go to the bathroom, which is really strange. So I hear somebody's in there, but I don't hear any movement. I don't hear any flushing. I don't hear any water running. And I'm going, what the hell's going on here? And I was thinking it was the cleaning person waiting for me to get done. So I get done, I exit the stall, and as I swing the door open, there is a man, minimum 15 years my elder, standing there with a cane, waiting to use, I had used the handicap stall.
Because that was the first stall there.
And I said to him, I am so sorry. And I said it just at value. I said, I am so sorry. And he looked at me like he did not say a word. He just looked at me with such disdain and then went in and he slammed the door. And I felt like a terrible human
Connor,
being.
Don't say how dare you. We all do it.
You use that stall.
Absolutely.
We all do it.
Like Brendan Gunn said, who takes the more narrow little stall when there's the roomy stall?
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Now, they are there for a reason.
I've never navigated, though, a handicap need on our floor, but I was up on the other floor, and I've never seen this gentleman before, but I guarantee you he's now going to have me on a wanted poster.
Now, I will say this. If it's a public, right, like, there's only 2 stalls.
Let's say you're at Target.
Yes. I would probably use the smaller one because there's more people at Target.
Okay.
And there's more of a chance of that happening.
And I'd almost drive home before I would. But
well,
if I did,
desperate times call for desperate
But if I
measures.
did, in that type of setting, I think I would also.
But like at 5 in the morning when we're here, you're damn right I'm using the bigger stall.
This was 8:30, and I felt like a terrible human being.
I wouldn't call yourself a terrible human being,
I felt like
but
it.
you have every right to feel the way that you do. And that guy has every right to be pissed off at you.
He didn't even say, like, oh, it's okay, dude. He looked at me like, man.
That's got to be a horrible.
He's going to hit me with his cane.
That's got to be a horrible
I felt
moment.
terrible. I felt
you
terrible.
open the stall and there he is.
And he is disgruntled.
All right, coming up
It's
next.
not good.
We get to your text messages. By the way, Kevin Negandhi is going to be joining us coming up at 9 o'clock. And after Kevin Negandhi, Bill Belichick has spoken on the Eagles again.
But he's not stalking the job.
What did Hoodie have to say? You'll hear that in the 9 o'clock hour. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Thursday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We will be joined momentarily by our friend Kevin Negandhi of ESPN. But until then,
good dude.
he would probably have fun at the Arnold's Family Fun Center. Check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week. Get 2 $50 point cards for the price of one to Arnold's Family Fun Center in Oaks, PA. Enjoy go-karts, mini golf, bowling, and more action-packed excitement for all ages at Arnold's. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals.
And Kevin, he's on a fixed income. So with 3 kids,
yeah,
that's a great deal.
That is a fantastic
The boys can do all the stuff where they're like beating the hell out of each other.
Yep.
And then he can play games with his daughter, who he probably loves the most.
Kevin strikes me as the guy who's not letting the kids win, though. He's going to go out there.
Not.
He's out for the victory.
And that's the way you should raise your kids.
That's good parenting.
Boys or girls.
All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From ESPN, the great Kevin Negandhi. Kevin, good morning.
They never win, fellas.
Damn right.
Never win.
Good
Damn
job.
right.
Does that include board games?
Super competitive. We had a Connect 4 championship, family championship, and my 10-year-old came back and beat me. Even though I want to let everybody know he conceded because we were down to 4 plays left, like 4 moves. He conceded and didn't see he had a way to beat me, and I didn't shake his hand. I said, "Let's finish it out," and he figured out that he won. And he lost his mind, and I told him, I said, I don't mind losing to you. What ticked me off is that you gave up.
I
You
love
got to
that.
finish everything.
Damn right.
And let me tell you guys, just the joy and the bragging and the jumping up and down and the taunting throughout the house for 10 minutes afterwards was worth watching him enjoy it.
I'm sure it was.
I taught him a lesson on the back end. Like, you got to finish it all the way to the end. You can't just concede until you actually see that you lost.
I love that.
So
That sounds like the Eagles' 10-1 start to the season last year, and then they conceded the rest.
What a transition.
Kevin, I want to start here. So we're trying to figure out who Jalen Hurts is as a quarterback because we've seen the highs in 2022, and we've obviously seen a lot of struggles since then. But that's not where I want to start off. I want you to speak either as a fan or to the fans, because there are a lot of Eagles fans that take exception to us when we talk about Jalen Hurts and his struggles on a daily basis, and they feel the need to go over the top to defend him. Whereas I go, hey, I want the best out of my players. And if they're not performing to their level of standards that I believe that they can, or they themselves tell you that they can, which Hurts always talks about the standards of the standard, why shouldn't you be critical? Why should you just sit back and be a fan and say, I just hope he plays better? Why not point it out?
I think that the fan base had seen the highest of highs from 2 years ago and saw a guy kind of reach his max, his ceiling, right? I think the frustrating part that for fans is the struggle on where we often say we've got to blame somebody, but where does the ultimate blame go to? And right now in the room, the head coach is still there, right? So especially after last year's frustration, Jalen Hurts doesn't look like he trusts the offense. He doesn't look like he trusts the guys he has to throw to if they're not A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith when I bring up the wide receivers. There's no trust in these windows, these short windows that he has. He holds on to the ball with the hesitation because he just doesn't trust the receiver that is going to get there unless, again, you're A.J. or Devontae. So I think fans see that. I think there's a part of the fan base that says you can't just put this on Jalen because last year was a debacle in Sirianni's scheme, and this year he's still trying to figure it out. I think the blame sometimes should be justified on Jalen because of the mistakes of the red zone turnovers. You could prevent that. You could also prevent the fumbling, and that's the big concern for me. It's protecting the football at all times. There was no issue with that in 2022. The one thing also played a role last year where I think the fan base was like, well, he wasn't 100%. He's running the football this year. His knee looks a lot better than last year. I just don't see any trust, guys. I don't see any trust with him and the coaching staff. And I've always said this with the new rules, with the CBA, that the first month you've got to treat it as kind of like a training camp, right? It's got to be like preseason. But I think everybody could have predicted what we were going to see against that Bucs game, and it is the most frustrating thing. Todd Bowles has a certain scheme. He understands it, and he does it, and the Eagles have not been able to, unlock this code that Bowles continues to do despite different coaches, different coaching staffs. It's the same theme. Not having Lane Johnson plays a role, not having your top 2 wide receivers plays a role, but there's something with Jalen against Todd Bowles that he hasn't been able to figure out, and it continues. And it is no doubt a blueprint around the league on how to blitz, when to blitz, and just bring the pressure. Let's see how he handles it. So the most frustrating part about all this is it just feels like the same vibe, right? The same from the final 2 months. That's what we've got in the first 4 games. And I come back to one word, accountability. That's on both sides of the ball.
I know that the other day when we got to hear from Vic Fangio, and I'm not sure if you got to hear this segment, he talked about the fact that when asked why weren't the guys up more in press, why were they so far off the receivers, he said after the first drive, they absolutely have that in their repertoire that if they choose, they're allowed to press more. They're allowed to get in and get up on the guys more. They were choosing not to. What does that say about it?
Accountability. That tells me there's no accountability in that locker room. I don't think there's a lot of accountability and respect when you have a coach who's been stripped of all the power, and I think the players are no fools about it. So we keep on coming back to the same stuff, right? There's one common thing. I think the Eagles made a mistake, and that week of evaluating Nick Sirianni in the offseason and deciding to bring him back. Where is the accountability in the locker room? It's the same stuff we keep on talking about, right? I think they won these 2 games on talent. That's what I think. Talent. Where's the accountability now that you have the talent? A guy like Jordan Davis, beyond disappointing. Beyond disappointing. Where's the accountability for a young guy like that? And we've heard the veterans talk about this. Some guys have left, like the Fletcher Coxes of the world and the Jason Kelce's of the world, and they've tried to talk to these guys. Brandon Graham as well. Sweat has talked about it. Where is the accountability of just doing your job? And it's not about, hey, I'm going to get mine. It's about how do I fit in the team system and do the right things for the entire concept of what the team is doing. And we continue to see it over and over and over again with this team.
What did you make of Darius Slay on the Micah Parsons podcast?
I don't know. I was surprised he would do it. He's bringing it upon himself. He's been in this market long enough to know how the reaction's going to be, whether it's fair or not. It's a different era, man.
Yeah, but Kevin, my thing is, it's not just the era thing, and I get it. Like, Micah Parsons is on the Cowboys, so people take exception to that bottom line. But my biggest thing, Kev, is the fact that Micah Parsons was actively beefing with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And then Darius Slay talks about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with Micah Parsons. Like, no matter what era it is, if you turn your back on one of your brothers, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's the 1800s or 2024.
Those are 2 dudes that got to handle that, right? That's between Darius and CJ. If they want to do it like this, they're going to have to handle it. To me, I come back to one thing. Like, I know coaching has changed a lot, and it's a reflection, too. Like, Mike McCarthy's allowing it as well with Micah Parsons doing this stuff, and he's hurt, and he's still on these podcasts, his own podcasts and stuff. And I shouldn't say allow it, but if you had a coach that said, none of this crap, you ain't doing it, right? And I know that the coaching has changed so much, and you've got to change, you've got to adapt because the players have changed so much. But, man, I come back to, you think that's happening if Bill Belichick's the head coach of this team?
No.
I come back to that. Do you think that's happening? Do you think that's happening? And it just, where's the accountability? These guys are going to do whatever they want to do,
in the end, are you going to answer for what you're thinking is, maybe I should pass this week. I shouldn't be on it. That's my guy. We're cool, but maybe I should pass because we lost and we look terrible. I don't think anybody's thinking twice about that. They're going to do what they want to do. I can't believe Darius did it. Darius has talked about it. Darius has had to answer Eagles fans and the wrath of making that decision. That's on him. Where's the accountability after the bye week? If he shows up, I think everybody's going to be fine. I think everybody's going to be fine when winning is. We've seen this, guys. Winning cures a lot of things. It's the best deodorant. It painted a lot of different vibes last year when they were 10-1, while this stuff was still brewing, right? So if you're losing and you're getting embarrassed and you do it, then it brings the microscope there. But I'm not. To me, I was shocked that he did it, but then I came back to, hey, let's get back on the field. Can you get better doing some of the things that we're seeing, and we're seeing it over and over and over again?
What's, in your mind, something that you're going to learn about the Phillies franchise during Red October? A question maybe you have, something that's sort of gnawing at your mind. Will they prove it right? Will they prove it wrong? What's something you're thinking about as we head into Red October?
Will we see the last of the philosophy of we will bash everybody and just outscore everybody? Because they've gone with the same philosophy and the same personnel over the last 2 to 3 years.
That's my question too. That was my question.
Thing. Because they didn't tweak anything, and I got to tell you, fellas, after losing the World Series up 2-1 after what happened in the NLCS last year, the idea of running it back looked fantastic in the first 2 to 3 months. What's it going to look like here specifically in October when staffs they have scouting reports, they're focused on you day in and day out, and bullpens attack you, and they understand all your weaknesses. And I don't think we've resolved the weaknesses that we have here as an offensive lineup. If the top 3 guys aren't hitting, it's trouble for the rest of the lineup. That's how I view it, because if you can handle the top 3, moving down, there are so many holes at the back end of this batting lineup, and it's kind of scary. We could see some holes here where, one of my producers is an Orioles fan. He and I were feeling the same vibe the first 3 months of the season, right? First 3 months, they both these squads are, 20, 30 games above 500, feeling really good. The final 2.5 months, you're just basically getting to 500 baseball, and you can't advance runners. You can't be in a situation where you can move guys and play just basic baseball, right? The baseball we all grew up with, but it's not like that anymore. And that's going to kill you, because the Mets don't do basic baseball. I mean, the Mets do basic baseball. They're not afraid of bunting somebody over and using the bases and running. The Phillies don't do that, man. Phillies have 1 or 2 guys that do it, and basically that's it. It's just, hey, swing, and swing as hard as you can, and that can crush you in the playoffs.
Kevin, last thing before we let you go, sticking with the Phillies, I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. I feel like a lot of the national media people, I know Jeff Passan from ESPN has the Phillies going to and winning the World Series. I know Buster Olney preseason predicted the Phillies to get to the World Series. I'm kind of in a calm before the storm mode right now, but I am still confident in this Phillies team. Doing this job, and John, you can attest to this, there are a lot of nervous Phillies fans right now.
Yeah.
Where are you going into this postseason compared to years past?
You know what? I feel very nervous because, listen, what the Mets have right now, I know they lost last night. I keep bringing them up. What the Mets have is what the Phillies had 2 years ago, right? Momentum. You've seen the success of the wild card teams because they've had to get in and they've had to play with their backs against the wall, right? There's a sense of urgency. We saw what the Braves complained about last year. Oh, we've had the break here, and we were a little dull. I'm worried about that. Now, I will say all that to you guys because we've seen this team hot. They've got to get hot in September to kind of make a push to get in, and then no one wants to face us. One of the things that this team has specifically that they didn't have the last 2 years is a bullpen that makes me feel comfortable. I'm really comfortable with this bullpen. Oh, yeah. Losing, Ranger has been really struggling. That injury is really hurting him. That concerns me, but Sanchez has stepped it up. Oh, you've got Wheeler and Nola. and then you've got this bullpen. And if Sanchez can give us something 4 to 5 innings, if he makes a start there, I feel really, really good. The issue is, can you score runs? Because I'm telling you guys, we all know that the bank is a phenomenal environment when they score. But in a 1-0 game, a 2-1 game, and the bats are silent, everybody gets tight, man. We saw that in the NLCS. I was at Game 6. That place gets really, really tight when there's a lot of swing and misses. So that concerns me more than anything else. And can I add one other thing here?
Please.
If the Mets win tonight, Phillies fans, I know you have a chance to make some money on some tickets. Do not sell your tickets.
Talked about it all day yesterday, Kev.
That's what we talked about
it all day.
Do not sell your tickets to a Mets fan. Do not. I cannot believe I have to say this. We went through it with the Knicks. Do not do that. All right, for this weekend. Hey, maybe hold it. Maybe hold it for the next round. Make some more money. But do not sell them to a Mets fan, man.
Yep.
Please.
Don't ever do that.
That's gospel, Kevin. That's gospel. Listen, man, we appreciate it as always. Keep up the great work. And next week when we talk to you, it won't just be a couple days before Eagles-Browns. It could also be after the Phillies series ends or the day before Game 5.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
So,
nothing going on.
I have no idea where we'll be next week, Kevin.
Positive vibes, fellas.
Thanks, buddy.
Right, thank you, Kevin.
Man, I'll
there
tell
he is,
you.
Kevin Nagandi
Now,
from ESPN.
We did not talk in advance, and he had the same exact question I did.
Yeah.
I did not agree with the philosophy. So it's not 20/20 hindsight. I thought they should not have just done the run it back. I would have shuffled the deck because I don't think it's a team that looks like it's built.
I hear you.
We'll see. We'll see if it can be proven wrong. And I think they have every chance to prove it wrong. And I love that the Orioles and the Astros are out potentially.
Dude, listen.
Every good team that gets knocked out along the way makes me smile more going, okay, the road may be better when you get there.
I'll just say this, man. Obviously, every game is important.
Sure.
They need to win Game 1, man, or this place is going to go nuts.
They do. But can I say something real quick about this whole the Mets or the 2022 Phillies thing that I've been seeing everywhere?
Okay.
The Phillies in 2022 lost 8 of their last 12 regular season games. They were scuffling. They barely made it in. It's not like they busted the door down.
Yeah, but they had a great second half to get to that point.
I got you.
A great second half.
And so did the Mets.
Sure, but we were talking, trust me, think back to 2022 because we're not talking about that Phillies team like, oh, this team is red hot going into October.
I remember doing shows yelling at people because there were people that were saying, I don't want them to make the playoffs. They don't deserve it. When I said playoff experience is important for at least next year.
So,
and then we saw what happened.
And they're not it's not the same story as what the Mets are doing this year. Also, something to keep in mind, the Phillies that year, they won the wild card series in 2 games against the St. Louis Cardinals. Going to that third game does change things a little bit.
Every time you go to the max in a series, it screws up the next series.
Right.
It really does. If they, again, I said the conversation I had with Dansby Swanson last week. He was like, no team is, he goes, the Phillies are like, the perfect team built to go 11-8. He's like, you Philly people want them to go 11-0. He goes, all they got to do is go 11-8. And he's like, I said, well, tell me a way they wouldn't win. Because he was very high on the Phillies. He thinks the Phillies are, and he said, oh, if you had to throw Wheeler twice in the division series. And then that screws that up. Because you may never get 2 starts out of him in the NLCS.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say the Mets don't have momentum. I'm trying to say that this whole misnomer of them being the 2022 Phillies is unfounded.
And by the way, the Phillies roster in 2022 is still better than what this Mets roster.
Boy, they play the game well, though, don't they?
They do. They have.
Fundamentally, they're a fundamental sound team.
They're 1 home run away from being on their couch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. All right. Coming up next, our man Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com will be joining us to talk about his game of the year tonight, Thursday night, Johnny.
Okay, that's ballsy.
Also, Bill Belichick was on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week and talked about...
Was LeFou on with him?
No, Patricia was not there. Belichick talked about the Eagles' struggles through 4 weeks. What does the future head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles has to say? You hear that next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. It is a Thursday morning. We are 2 days away from the beginning of Red October. Phillies will battle the winner of tonight's game between the Brewers and Mets. It's a 7 o'clock first pitch, or 7:10, so make sure you're locked in watching that game, and we'll find out who the Phillies are playing.
I can't wait for that.
Now, you just gave a great stat that might calm the nerves of the people that are worried about the Mets.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that you want to I want to give the proper credit to the person who put it up on the.
And this is kind of something that I mentioned.
And of course, now I can't find it off my timeline because they give that stupid refresher.
Of course, I hate the refresher on its own. It's ridiculous.
The Phillies were 7-6 against the Mets this year, but 3 of the 6 losses were Taijuan Walker starts.
That's a good sign for the Phillies.
Taijuan Walker will be nowhere near the mound.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Nowhere near the mound.
That's a pro Philly stat when it comes to Phillies Mets.
Very good.
All right, so we're going to speak to our buddy from GBIWins.com, Michael Westwood. He's going to join us in about 5 minutes, but I do want to play something for you.
And he has his game of the year this year.
He does his game of the year for tonight already.
And he's already doing a game of the year. Now, I got to tell you, it's ballsy.
Yeah.
It's ballsy.
And he himself,
but believe me, he says it.
He himself will tell us it's
He'll
ballsy.
tell us, yeah. I mean, it's he's given us a little hint off the air.
Yeah.
And it's going to be free for people.
But before we do that, future head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Bill Belichick.
Stop it.
Stop it.
I hope not.
Was on the Pat McAfee show. And, of course, he was asked about the Philadelphia Eagles. And take a listen to what he has had to say about the Eagles through 4 weeks, especially after that bad loss to the Buccaneers last Sunday.
First of all, I think the bye week probably is a good time for these guys. Philly, maybe they'll have a chance to get these receivers back and Lane Johnson and get some of their key players back on offense. But, it's a challenge. Look, they've lost 10 of the last 13 games. So when you sit there and say, well, they're one of the best teams in the league, I don't know, being 3-10, that's kind of a stretch if you look at what's happened recently. But they do have a lot of good players and they have a good team. I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying they haven't done very well lately. So maybe this bye week's a good time for them to reset. Certainly they've got to play, better defense than what they've been playing. They just gave up way too many points too quickly. They're still turning the ball over too much. And Barkley's an explosive guy, but, he can only do so much. We saw that when he was with the Giants, and once you put Smith and Brown out there along with Goddard and Barkley, you have one offense. You start taking a couple of those guys out of there, and it just becomes, a little bit watered down. So I think the bye week comes at a good time for them. Hopefully for them, they can get healthy, reset a little bit, get back to playing, good Philadelphia Eagle football. And that means getting off to a good start and playing from ahead. Just trying to play catch up and throw the ball all over the lot 45 times is just not a good formula for any team, but I don't think that's really the way the Eagles want to play or should play.
This is where, I'm telling you, he's stalking this job. And Adam Schefter thinks I'm crazy. Well, I don't hear where he's stalking the job. He's literally stalking the job.
He's in the media.
He's even talking to us, though. Get back to playing good Philadelphia Eagles football. What is Philadelphia Eagles football?
Well, this team is...
No, but what is it? There is no identity.
Well,
There's no
Nick
such
Sirianni
thing.
tells you that there is an identity. It's use that offensive line. It's get the ball out quick, and it's use Saquon Barkley.
Okay,
that's the identity.
Yeah.
Until Jalen Hurts is back to 2022 form, the identity is Saquon Barkley, and obviously you're throwing the ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. But to what you just heard, this team. Jalen Hurts is not a drop back 40 times quarterback anymore.
And I would tell you, everybody who does not think he's stalking the job, or is wishing for him to get here.
I think he is.
Here's what I'm going to tell you: he's bringing LeFou with him. He's bringing Matt Patricia. He's bringing Joe Judge, and he's bringing all of his other high school Harrys with him. He's not.
Is he bringing McDaniels with him?
He's bringing. Oh, very well. Might bring McDaniels. He brings his kid.
Why do you feel so confident that that's what he's going to do?
Because it's what he does. He runs a jobs program of yes men.
Well, he did in New England because he was given full reign. Do we think
you don't think if they hire Bill Belichick, you think that Howie Roseman is going to say, Bill, we're bringing you in, but we're going to hire your coaches? He'll say, screw you. I'll go coach Jacksonville.
I think it's possible because he said screw you to every NFL team, that he wants this job enough to say, I'm willing to work with you guys in a capacity I didn't with New England.
I don't believe for 1 second that would ever happen.
Now,
John,
I
really don't. I don't believe for
I want you to answer this question.
Sure.
So he mentions
LeFou?
No.
He doesn't mention.
Bill Belichick says, how can you call him a good team when they are
3-10?
He said 3-10.
That's not right, right?
I know. I heard Bill yesterday take exception to it. Bill Colarulo. He's defending Billy
Bill Colarulo.
It's 3-8 in his last 11 games, which is still not good.
Which is terrible.
Does he have something to that when Bill Belichick says, how can you call them a good football team when they're 3-8 in their last 11 games?
He has something. Yeah, that's right. I mean, would you call them a good football team? I'm saying they're not a good football team. They aren't a good football team since the end of that Bills game last year. They are not. That's
the last good game that a lot of people have played.
They have not been a good football team since that. Not at all. Even in the games they've won, they've been unimpressive.
All right, without further ado. All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. We are joined now. I'm very excited about this because I want to find a way to make out some money here. We're joined by Michael Westwood, who's the owner of GBIWins.com, and he's got his pro football game of the year tonight for the Thursday night matchup between Tampa Bay and Atlanta. You want to call their free recorded line. The number is 1-800-885-2525. That's 1-800-885-2525. Call that free recorded line, and you'll speak with Michael Westwood, the owner of GBIWins.com, who is on fire right now. Michael, 9-2 last week?
Andrew, John, I am back. What's happening? Thanks for having me. And yes, 9-2 last week. You guys know that, man. You made money off of my games last week. Listen to me. It's very, very simple. Making money in this crazy game called sports wagering, it's not easy. It's really not. But I've been doing it for almost 40 years now. I know how to beat the bookmakers on any given game day. And just to show your listeners what I'm all about, I'm giving out my game of the year. It's my Thursday night game of the year between Tampa Bay and Atlanta. And as an added bonus, the first 100 callers that call in, they're also going to get my over-under. It's absolutely free, and it's on my free recorded comp line. All I have to do, guys, is dial right now, 1-800-885-2525. That's 1-800-885-2525. They're going to be connected to my free recorded hotline. There's no sales pitches. There's no hype. I'm going to give you the game free on me. So once again, I'm going to offer your listeners absolutely free tonight. It's on a free recorded comp line. It's 1-800-885-2525. They can call that hotline. They can get tonight's Thursday night game of the year for free and on me. Check us out, see what we're all about. And you know what? If they like what we're all about, they can give us a call the next day and see how to get involved with my firm.
And you're pretty damn good with your game of the year. I appreciate you tell us about your losses. But, Michael, you've only had 2 of them. In the last 21 years of your game of the year, you're 19-2. What goes into it?
You know what? Listen to me. I'm going to be honest with you. If I say red, you go black. I'm the worst handicapper that you ever met in America. And this is the reason why I have individuals in my back pocket, people who do a lot of research, a lot of studying. You know, when it comes to a Thursday night game like this, I don't just give out a game and say it's a Thursday night game. There's a lot of research that goes into it. So the bottom line is, once again, you know, the individual who I deal with who gets me this source, this guy plays 1 game a year with me, and that is it. And normally, as I said to you earlier, it's not a game that goes off, you know, week 5 of the NFL. Usually it's somewhere around, you know, the 12th or the 13th week. But when he comes to me and he says to me, listen, this is the week, we absolutely jump on it. And tonight is the night. And once again, it's free. It's on my free recorded comp line, 1-800-885-2525. You can call it right now and get the game.
Early in the season, teams that look great one week look bad the next week. Everybody could use a little extra assistance and a little extra intel, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, listen, you know, just to jump back for 1 second, you know, I have a team who get information like this, that eats, sleeps, and drinks, you know, this type of football. So, you know, again, you know, this is the time of year where I don't see too much parity in the NFL. I mean, I'm really upset about what's been going on. I don't like the new rules that they put in. You know, the players are hurt. I mean, I think on each team there's like an average of 12 players that are hurt. I mean, it's incredible what's going on right now. But you know what? I push that aside because I want to make money at this, all right? Sports betting is, you know, it's something that you can make money at if you do it the right way. I mean, the general public gets slammed every single week. The first 4 weeks, guys, I want you to know, these guys got absolutely crushed. The general public got hammered, okay, when my company made money. So, again, you know, I'm stressing the fact that I've been doing this for, you know, 40 years, and again, I know how to make my clients money.
9-2 last weekend. We're expecting another big one from you guys this weekend. We appreciate the time. Make sure GBIwins.com is the website, but call the free record line 1-800-885-2525, and you will get the game of the year already in Week 5 for tonight's game between Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Michael, we appreciate it, man, and we'll talk to you again next week. All right, there's my man, Michael Westwood from GBIwins.com. Make sure you check out that recorded line.
I like, too, it's free and you don't have to buy anything.
Yeah,
you don't have
damn right.
You don't have to give your phone number. Just get the recorded number and just go for it.
No pomp and circumstance. You just call and it's there.
I'll tell you, he's a confident guy and he's been on a roll.
All right, let's go. Oh, I want to go to a call because
okay.
I've seen a tweet. Let's go to Aaron in Jersey. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, guys.
Hi, Aaron.
What's up, man?
Hey, first-time caller, long-time listener.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. So I was coming home from a trip from L.A. last night, walking through the D terminal at Philly, going towards baggage claim, and here comes Belichick right down the terminal.
So I saw a tweet from our buddy Sean Brace.
Where was John Clark? I mean, seriously.
And there's a photo of Bill Belichick at Philadelphia International last night.
He was absolutely there, man. We were walking up the terminal, and me and another guy from my flight looked at each other like, holy crap, that's Belichick.
Right.
But all I could think of was to say, hey, coach, and, all I got back was a gruff, hey.
I'm sure he did.
Did he have LeFou? Did he have LeFou with him?
Was Patricia there?
Not Patricia carrying his bags?
He did not.
Oh, he did. Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. I've heard that. By the way, though, we were down in Atlantic City, and someone had said that they had seen Bill at dinner at a fine Atlantic City dining establishment, and that was back in August.
Right.
So he's been around.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Aaron. Apparently, there's a lot of people that say
nothing's happening. So.
No. Inside the NFL is something on the CW, which is located in Jersey.
Yeah, they film it up in Cherry Hill.
Right.
Right. So that's what
he's
it is.
probably in town for that.
And I'm sure that LeFou was probably just getting his bags off the belt.
Nah,
he's coming to my birthday
shining,
party.
bro. Shining his shoes.
Hoodie's not a check bag guy. Hoodie's no, Hoodie's not a check bag guy.
Belichick's in town for beers with me for my 30th.
That's what it is. Why?
Yes.
Yeah, we're burying the lead. All right, coming up next, we got the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show, presented by Von C. Brewing Company. We'll sneak in a couple texts and calls as well. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 2 days away from Red October, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
There won't be any dumbass hot takes here. Philly fans deserve.
right?
It's going to be two Eagles games,
Exactly, because they play Saturday and Sunday. We just got to find out who they're playing first, because tonight is the elimination game between the Mets and the Brewers. So we'll really only be able to talk about the series itself tomorrow. I mean, what are you going to do? Talk Phillies-Mets for 2 hours today, Phillies-Brewers the next 2 hours? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We find out tonight who they're playing.
And just to be clear, you guys say we both should be rooting for the Mets tonight.
Yes. I'm worried about that Brewers
Connor?
bullpen. Yeah.
I think you guys have swung me in the I wanted clearly avoid the Padres at all costs.
Yeah, and that's fair.
That's what I wanted. So when I got my way there, I think you've made some compelling arguments about why we want the Mets.
But I'll stick by what I said from the beginning. I don't care who they're playing.
Right. I'm not dying to face the Mets.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to take it
I get it. You're not. Yeah, exactly.
Series.
Exactly.
They can come here and get it.
But I would prefer the Mets slightly to the Brewers.
The Phillies need to beat whoever they're playing in the first round, and if not, we got, it's going to be some not so fun conversations.
Right.
About collapses and failures and not reaching expectations. All right, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, presented by Von C.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Johnny, let's not bury the lead. Happy birthday. 3-0, Connor Thomas.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate
That's coming your way in the 8 o'clock
On his
hour.
30th birthday.
Wow.
Man.
Big 3-0. You feel old yet?
I felt old for years, buddy.
Damn right you have.
I'm just wondering, when does Fat Connor set in? At some point, is Connor just going to, it's 30, your metabolism changes.
I would love to be fat.
You don't
No,
necessarily
It's a life goal of mine.
The question is, what have we gotten so far out of Jalen Hurts? And is what we've gotten so far who he is? Is the dream of 2022 him coming back to that? I don't want to say he's dead, but is it likely? We haven't seen anything this year except for a couple of moments for you to say, that's 2022 Jalen Hurts. Just like last year, we only saw a couple of moments, and some of them were amazing, right? The Bills game, the Chiefs game in the second half, Miami for the most part. There were some games where you saw glimpses of 2022, but for the most part, he never came close to reaching that mark. Is there a chance that we saw the best of Jalen Hurts, and this is kind of who he is? Which might not be the worst thing, but for everybody that wants to defend the hell out of the guy, it might not be the best thing either. Who is Jalen Hurts, John?
He's going to have to show me. He's got to be the guy that I think he is. I worry that I'm just intoxicated by a night in February on the biggest stage where I saw him do it.
But that's a fair night to be intoxicated by.
Oh, it is. It is. Who do you want, by the way? Just gut instinct.
I still want the Mets. Not because I go, they're going to destroy them. I fear the Brewers bullpen, and I saw that last night.
Connor, you still the same way?
Absolutely. Bring me the Mets.
That's Andrew DeCecco. Andrew, good morning, man. How are you?
Yeah, so a lot to be learned about Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, you've seen the good, the bad, you've seen the great in 2022, but I think for me, probably somewhere right now around the middle of the road.
If he is still turning the football over, when Johnson, Smith, and Brown are all back, then what's the next excuse? Which is why I say I would like to do an exercise of the week-by-week Hurts excuse chart, because if he does not play well next week against Cleveland, when he has all his guys back, then what are you going to say?
Fair.
Stop always trying to defend a guy who's struggling.
I have no idea where this comes from.
Want more. Be a fan, not a fanboy. Be a fan. Want more from your team. Want more from your players. If the Phillies lose in the NLDS, rip them to shreds. If the Eagles fall short of winning the division, this season is a failure and heads will roll. Want more from your teams. From ESPN, the great Kevin Nagandi.
Can I add one other thing here?
Please.
If the Mets win tonight, Phillies fans, I know you have a chance to make some money on some tickets. Do not sell your tickets.
Talked about it all day yesterday,
Kev. That's what we
talked about it all day.
Do not sell your tickets to a Mets fan. Do not. I cannot believe I have to say this. We went through it with the Knicks. Do not do that.
What are you watching for? What is a question you know about the Phillies that's going to be answered during this postseason? And mine is really, really clear. I did not agree with Dave Dombrowski, who, by the way, is a freaking great president. He's brilliant. He's done it over and over again. The guy's a winner. I had the nerve to question his strategy of rolling it back. After I saw a team just for the last 3 games of the 2022 postseason flail at the plate, they couldn't hit any with a boat paddle. And then they did the same exact thing again in 2023 in 2 critical games at home. I think there is a flaw with this lineup in the postseason. Now, can they correct the flaw? We'll find out this time around.
Right.
But to me, I think the number one question that's going to be answered is the referendum of Did Dave Dombrowski's decision to roll it back, we're running it back with the same guys, same approach, same kind of lineup, huge reward, huge misses. I still question it going into the postseason, and that is going to be answered to me. Either he had the vision and he got it right, or we're going to see the same sort of flame out that we saw the last 2 years.
Who is Jalen Hurts? Is he a quarterback that you could still win a Super Bowl with? I believe that he is. But is he this 2022 perennial MVP candidate year in, year out? I don't think so. And I said that following 2022, so I'm not just saying it through 4 weeks this season. He has not played to my level of standards this year, though. I thought he would be better than last year. Connor thought that he would be better than last year. You thought that he would be better than 2022.
No, I thought this would be, and you know what? I'll say it bold this morning. If you tell me that everyone's going to be healthy the rest of the year, pretty much, the offense, he's going to get there.
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 presented by Von C. I would love for you to do the German accent, but there's something very important that I need to point out on Twitter. Von C, of course, Von C Brewing Company in Norristown.
Point it out, you Dummkopf.
Berliner Weiss, the historic German sour beer, Fest beer, modern take on the Oktoberfest style, and a Von C Oktoberfest Marzen.
Sell it!
Visit VonCBrewing.com. Find out where you can pick up your Key 3 from Von C today.
Nine!
I just went through my mentions.
Okay.
I had two guys yesterday tweet at me. John White and C, just the letter C.
We'll see.
John White, his picture is of the Philly fanatic hugging Jason Kelce at a Phillies playoff game, remember?
Okay, yeah, exactly.
On the field, he chugged the beer and everything.
22.
C has the old school Phillies logo, where it looks like the diamond and then Phillies written in the middle.
Okay.
You know? John White tweets, I sold my tickets already, and I don't feel the least bit guilty about it. And C tweets, sorry, but I sold my tickets to pay for next year's season tickets.
That's it. First of all, Bull, you did not sell your tickets to pay for next year's.
Yeah.
You didn't make that much profit. You're full of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely full of it.
I'm going to say this now. C and John White.
You're not fans.
Remove your Twitter pictures.
You're not fans. Take it
you
off.
can't have a Phillies Twitter picture if you're selling your Phillies tickets.
You're just out there.
Might as well
to
make
money.
it Mr. Met at this point.
Right. That's all it is.
All right, John.
Got to tell you, support life-saving cancer research. Join our friends, FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning. Make a donation to the AACR today. That's the American Association for Cancer Research. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm here to tell you, cancer research saves lives.
Damn right it is. That's just a violation. Oh, I don't feel the least bit guilty about it.
Times are tough.
But go Phillies.
And I'll tell you again, if you are a grown man and you have season tickets, don't tell me about the tough economy.
Yeah.
You're making bad buying decisions then.
All right. The Mike Missanelli Show coming your way next. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow, the day before Red October, Johnny.
Can't wait.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. Connor, enjoy your 30th.